And welcome into the Friday edition of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porth here with you on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. We've got a loaded show for you here today. A lot to get to with the Preds game last night. We'll start with that here in just a second. Pat Bradley from the SEC Network will join us at 7:30. We'll get into the NCAA tournament with him. Call Your Shot Friday coming up at 7:45. So we'll take your bold predictions all show long on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com at 615-737-1025. Tyron Davenport at 8 o'clock, Terry Crisp at 8:30, weekend winners at 9:30. So a loaded show for you here today on Robby and Rexrode. And as always, streaming live on YouTube, on Periscope, and on Twitch as well. Joe Rexrode, how in the world are we?
We're doing all right. We didn't even talk before the show, and I'm not caught up. Everything turned out all right with the tornadoes. Yes?
In our area,
I know in Alabama there was some bad stuff.
Right. But I think in our area, we were okay.
5 people and 2 dogs packed into a tiny bathroom in my home last night.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
We got real close. And actually, I was worried about the McFarlands because he lives in Smyrna, and there was a tornado spotted there.
Yeah.
But it looks like nothing terrible.
Right. So thankful for that. And here's one, I was watching the Preds game from my house, keeping one eye on the TV, one eye on the weather. It never got too bad where I live in Greenbrier, but certainly, I saw some video coming out from Birmingham yesterday, and some of the damage there is just crazy. So obviously, we're very familiar with that around these parts and in this area. And once you get to this time of year, weather starts getting a little hairy out there.
There were a lot of social media photos from East Nashville, South Nashville, right around downtown, where there was a lot of wind damage.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
So
and the hail was actually even so close to us. It was someone posted on Facebook hail like this big.
Oh, yeah.
See, we can do this with the camera.
Yes.
Big hail. So.
And there was a video yesterday that somebody took, I guess, looking towards downtown, and you can see the storm cell coming in, and it's just like this giant cloud engulfing Nashville. It was crazy, and it was kind of a little bit cool as well, just to see Mother Nature and what it could do. But thankful that the damage around here and the destruction and certainly the loss of life was not what we saw in Alabama, because it got bad down in Alabama yesterday. So thankful for that, and we'll continue to monitor the weather throughout the rest of the spring here. Once you get to springtime here in Middle Tennessee, you never know. It could happen in a hurry, as we've noticed here in this area. Joe, what'd you think of the Preds last night? 7-1 winners against the Detroit Red Wings. Rocco Grimaldi, 4 goals. And we'll talk about Preds Pick the Click coming up here in a minute, because it was a rough night for me again. But, man, what a performance. Rocco Grimaldi hadn't had a point in 15 games, comes out there, scores 4 times last night for the Predators.
Yeah, off the grid guy.
Yes, thank you.
He was an off the grid.
Yes,
off the grid choice.
Picked the wrong one.
Olivier scores again.
Yep, alrighty, yeah.
Did the Preds not stink? Did the Preds not stink now? Are the Preds kind of okay now?
5 out of 6, playing pretty well now. You look at the standings, and Chicago won last night as well. So this sets up a huge, huge weekend for this team. You've got Chicago twice. You're going to have Chicago 6 more times coming up. So these games are going to be massive. Columbus gets a point last night against Carolina. They lose in overtime. But if you're the Predators, you got to be feeling great right now. Saros continues to play well. You've won 5 out of 6. You've still had a ton of injuries out there, but it hasn't mattered as of late. The offense with the explosion last night, and Grimaldi, it was one of those things where once he got that first one, it just kind of felt like everything that he touched was going to go in. He got the 4th one in the 3rd. He had a chance for a 5th one. He was at the end of his shift. He didn't have anything left in the tank, and he had a 2-on-1 with Trennan. He was really close to the 5th one as well. Ties the franchise record. Eric Nystrom for 4 goals. I think it was back in January of 2014 against the Calgary Flames.
Sorry, Nystrom and Grimaldi stand alone.
That's it. So all these players that have rolled through here with Philip Forsberg and Paul Kariya and Peter Forsberg, you got Rocco Grimaldi, Eric Nystrom, the only ones that have gotten to 4 goals.
Yeah, crazy. And my pick to click was right there on the doorstep. You know, the year of Yarny doesn't work out, but Granlund trying to get him the puck, and it goes in the net.
Yeah, my pick to click was a disaster, and I knew it would be as soon as I made the pick yesterday because Eeli Tolvanen was on the table, and I still believe by design from Ryan Porth, Eeli Tolvanen was on the table, and I had an opportunity to select him. And Pred's pick to click yesterday, brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka, and I didn't do it. You told me to go off the board, so I went off the board, and I chose Colton Sissons, and I swear to you, as soon as Eeli Tolvanen got the puck on the power play in the first period, I started yelling. My dog ran off, and it was before the puck even went in the net. I knew he was going to score, and he did. And then Twitter, I mean, it was just wonderful last night with Twitter. And as soon as Tolvanen scored, tweets were rolling in to me about Pred's pick to click. And later on in the game, people were tweeting, "Hey, Robby, we're rooting for you, buddy. Rooting for Colton Sissons out there to go score." That's the place we've reached with Pred's Twitter on Pred's pick to click. There's a lot of sympathy and pity for me at this point.
Well, and you had an excited Sissons on the power play.
I did. Late in the game, Colton Sissons on the power play. Did not amount to anything, but I thought maybe, with it being 6-1 at that point, there could be a chance.
I mean, it's pretty amazing that they scored 7 goals. that there would ever be a time when 4 different people can pick a goal scorer for a team, and then that team scores 7 goals that night.
And
no one's right.
Gets anything.
You know? I mean, that alone is pretty amazing.
And we've also gotten to the point now where, like, Ryan Porth has taken way too much joy in this. Like, he's watching me suffer in Pred's pick to click. The smile on his face right now. As soon as Tolvanen scored last night, the text thread that you and I are in with him. I mean, he's just way too excited about this.
It helps him. It helps him forget that he has 1.
Yes.
He's like happy as a clam. He has 1.
Well, what do I say every time?
One's better than none.
1 is greater than 0.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I mean, it's factually correct.
I think this is actually hurting your growth, Ryan. See, you taking pleasure in his misery. You could be flourishing right now as a Pred's pick to click participant, but you're just
I mean, you
wallowing in his misery.
You also had the chance yesterday to select Eeli Tolvanen.
Yeah.
And went with Ryan Johansson.
I was daring you to take Tolvanen after Joe kept feeding you the mindset of going off the board.
Yeah. Well, it turns out Joe was right about going off the board. If I would have just taken Rocco Grimaldi.
Yeah, we didn't tell him to take Sissons. We said go off the board.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it would have been even more spectacular if there were 7 different goal scorers.
And I didn't get any.
And none of us got any.
Yeah. If you got into
spectacular is one word for it.
Got into the depths of the third pairing and stuff like that.
Ben Harper rolling in goals out there. I'm beginning to wonder, like, is this ever going to happen? I mean, I'm running out of time. There's not much time left.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, it really is.
You've gotten, 5 correct at this point?
Yeah. And it's been a while. I mean, I haven't had one in a long time.
No, you had one. You had one last week.
Oh, yeah. I guess it was last week. Okay. I was stuck on 4.
Been a while. Been a week.
I was stuck on 4 for a while.
You were.
I mean, the listeners, we're at our again. There's two tournaments going on right now. How many more opportunities do we have of weekday games?
Well, there's like 6 weeks left.
Yeah.
So they're averaging probably 2 games per week on a weekday?
About a dozen, yeah. Okay. I mean, hey, that's time for you to win this thing going away.
You're right. It is. I'm inspired again.
So you went off the board. So, again, do the Costanza next time.
I don't know if I should listen to you.
No, but whatever your instinct is, if it was Sissons, now don't go with that.
Well,
see?
That's the thing. My instinct wasn't Sissons yesterday. I was planning on taking Eric Holla, and I just blurted out Colton Sissons. Like, Colton Sissons! All right, cool.
Okay.
Holla with 2 assists last night.
Yeah, but still, you would have been just as frustrated with Holla then.
Yeah, that would have been.
Okay. I don't know.
I was waiting for Holla to score, too. I was like, man, I swear if Eric Holla scores tonight. But it was hilarious. Like, as soon as Tolvanen got the puck, I was like, okay, here we go.
I guess I guess you should just play the odds at this point. But it's almost like if you go off the board and you even just get 1 all year,
it's probably worth it.
And it's one of your off the board picks. Yeah.
Like if I would have taken,
That'd be magical.
If I'd have taken Matthew Olivier last night and he scores, I feel like that's impressive. It's impressive.
I mean, at this point, anything
Yes.
that you would get correct and Pred's pick to click would be impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're rooting for you, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate that. John Hines talked about the win last night and the performance by Rocco Grimaldi. 4 goals, the second time in franchise history that a player has reached 4 goals with the Nashville Predators. Here's what Predators head coach John Hines had to say.
I thought the first few shifts, Detroit really they put us on our heels a little bit in the D zone. I thought we defended well, and then, once we got up and running, and Rocco was flying. Obviously, in the first period, it was nice to see him get the goals, and I think it might be the fastest hat trick in franchise history now. I think he bypassed Sullivan, I believe. So, that was pretty special. I think it was the fastest 3 goals. I think it was at 45 seconds in franchise history. So pretty special by the group tonight. Rocco was flying, and it brought a ton of energy to our team and a ton of energy to the building. And as you said, we talked in between the first and second period, and the way that the team responded to start the second period and the way we played the third period, I thought just showed a lot of guys buying in, playing the right way, doing the right things, playing for each other, and I thought as the game went on, we continued to play the right way, and I think that's a mark of a group that's really committed to each other.
Did they put the microphone inside his mouth? The drawing in of air right there, was that what? Am I losing it, or was that like incredibly loud?
It was a breathtaking performance from Rocco Grimaldi.
My goodness. Am I wrong on that?
No, you're right.
There were a couple
noticed it
times
too,
it was
yeah.
like hurt my ears.
You're wrong, or you're right about it.
I'm sorry that
No.
distracted me from what he was saying.
It's okay.
That becomes a drop. Stop it. Oh my God.
With that in mind, we'll continue the discussion on the Predators when we come back. Taking your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025.
If anybody can see this,
Streaming live on YouTube, on Periscope, and on Twitch as well.
I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't see this, but it says, "Shh, no one cares."
Great pink coffee
My
mug
pink coffee mug today. Thank you.
from Joe Rexrode. We'll do that when we come back. Right now, though, got to tell you about my friends at FanDuel Sportsbook and the tournament down to just 16 teams. So if you've been watching from the sidelines, now is your chance to get in on the action. FanDuel Sportsbook is hooking you up with exclusive 30-1 odds on all 16 teams left in the bracket, even the top seeds. That's right, new users, 30-1 odds on any team to win their next game this round. You can win $150 on a $5 bet. So maybe you like some of the favorites, like a Baylor or a Gonzaga. Alabama shooting the lights out as well. You can go that way on the FanDuel Sportsbook. All you got to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and make your first deposit to unlock exclusive 30-1 odds. The app is so easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid in as little as 24 hours. Just sign up with promo code ROB so they know that I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code ROB. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. Must wager in designated offer market. A $10 first deposit required. Max bonus of $150. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789.
Back through to center. Here come the Predators 2-on-2. Howla in front. Grimaldi scores! What a beautiful play! Stealing the puck behind the net, going to the left side. They shot the score! Lifting the puck out from low along the left side. And here again is Rocco Grimaldi to make it 3-0. From the angle instead, and off it comes out of Grimaldi. And folks, at 8:08 of the first period, Rocco Grimaldi has himself a hat trick. Here's Grimaldi breaking in, looking for his fourth. He gets it! Rocco Grimaldi tying Eric Nystrom with a 4-goal night.
What a night last night from Rocco Grimaldi. 4 goals for the Nashville Predators, including a hat trick within the first 8 minutes and 8 seconds of the game. Pretty incredible stuff. From the first goal to the third goal from Grimaldi last night, a span of 2 minutes and 34 seconds.
Anyone on the text line, did you recognize the song the Porth just played in honor of Grimaldi?
Well, let us know.
That's a little bit of a, spur-of-the-moment trivia question.
Let us know on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode already coming out of the gate with a trivia question. I like it. We'll have another one coming up for you, by the way, at 9:45 today for some Free Beer Friday to give away. A $25 Bavarian Beer House gift card located at Opry Mills Mall. Ryan Porth is excited about this trivia question as well.
An official one,
Yes.
I'm sure it'll be very good. Was Rocco, was he paying tribute to the Vingans, who...
Could be.
Young Little Vingan on the way?
Yeah.
Do you like my name for Little Vingan?
Rocco Vingan?
Well, that actually probably would make sense, but no, Leitner Vingan.
Oh, I did see that. Yes, that was good. I'd say that's at least a possibility for Vingan at this point. Congratulations to the Vingans, by the way.
Yes. It's got to be a Duke player. Leitner Vingan could be boy or girl.
What about Krzyzewski?
Yeah. Zion.
K.
Justice.
K. Vingan.
Yeah.
Zion. Grayson.
Oh, man.
JJ.
Let's think of all the most punchable Dukies.
Yes.
JJ Vingan has a nice ring to it.
It does, yeah.
It does. I'm going to stick with Leitner, though. Leitner Vingan.
Yeah.
Late as a like Vingan is all the time showing up to the games.
Well, he is that.
I'm just kidding. He actually isn't, but whatever.
He's later than you and me. Vingan shows up about 6:20 for a 7 o'clock start.
Yeah, and that's true. Actually, I've beaten him there quite a few back when I used to go to the games.
Exactly. Yes.
Getting vaccinated today, so
there you go. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to the Vingans as well. And
congratulations to all.
Congratulations to Rocco Grimaldi as well. 4 goals last night. It was amazing. Like, it was one of those games, and it's really cool that it happened against the Red Wings. He used to be a part of, like, the Little Caesars program in Detroit, and he talked after the game last night a little bit about, just growing up, a kid from California, moved to Michigan, became a Red Wings fan, and, you got Mickey Redmond on the call, Kenny Daniels on the call as well, that he grew up watching, and then last night he knows they're calling the game as well. Just a really cool thing from Rocco Grimaldi, and you could tell like he's been frustrated with how this season has gone for him. The offensive production hasn't been there up until last night. He's even found himself out of the lineup at times this year too as a healthy scratch, but he stuck with it. As I said, 15 games in a row without even a single point for Rocco Grimaldi before last night, and we've gone this whole season without any player scoring 4 goals, and then the last 2 nights you've had 2 players score 4 goals in a league. So pretty cool, and one of those nights that if you were there, and a couple of my friends were at the game last night, that's one of those games that you won't forget going to when you have a performance like that from Rocco Grimaldi.
Glad you brought up Mickey Redmond, absolute legend.
He is.
Gosh, I wonder how he's doing. All those years, he'd get frustrated when they'd lose a game every once in a while.
It's been a heck of a reality check lately.
Hang in there, Mickey.
That's probably my other takeaway from last night. My goodness, were the Red Wings bad. Oh, my God. And Jeff Blashill, Red Wings coach, God bless him. But after the game, he was talking about it. He's like, well, we had a lot of no-shows tonight. Nobody brought their A, B, or C game. And I was like, well, all righty. You tell him, Coach. Look, I get it. Their roster's been bad, and it's been bad for a while. I wonder about him and how much longer he's got left there.
He's on that short list, because it's most of it's not his fault, but then when you get to the point where even when you express that kind of frustration in your guys, doesn't sound like you're reaching them very well.
Well, it's a repetitive cycle of just ineptitude from this group. And again, there's not much there to work with from a roster standpoint, so I get it. But they are bad. And credit to the Predators. I mean, we've talked about this and how the script is played out against the Red Wings this year. You've won the first game, and then you followed it up losing the second game in the series. They left no doubt last night. I mean, we heard John Hines in the last segment talk about how the first couple of shifts of the game, Detroit was good and had them on their heels. I agree. Saros made some big saves really early in the game, and then the Predators took off. And, you look at the goals that have been scored, it's 4-1 after the first period, and you think that's their best period. I thought the Predators, from a flow of game standpoint, they got better in the second. They got better in the third. So they built on the performance last night. That, to me, is encouraging because they've not done that too often this year. They started well and continued to build, and I thought they did that last night. And they've been doing that more often as of late.
Yeah, you got just to take care of a bad team that has been has actually been a problem for these guys in the last few years randomly, making no sense at all. I think that's significant. Just thump a bad team, and this weekend I think is setting up to. I don't know about change things dramatically, but I think that the attention on this team shifts if they have a good weekend.
I think so too, and we'll talk about that a little bit more coming up and get your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. But it is interesting because you're also getting to the point with this group where you would assume some guys are getting close to coming back or being healthy. I mean, we talked to Matt Duchene on Wednesday and said, he's been skating. He's been able to go full out. Did say that he kind of plateaued this past week, and it may be another week or so before he's back in there. So I don't know exactly how close he is. I would, based on those comments, would be surprised if he's in this weekend against Chicago. But he can't be that far away. I wouldn't imagine that Luke Cunnin is that far away either, based on the timetables that were given when the injuries first came out. So all of a sudden, you're going to have some decisions to make if you're John Hines coming up that I think could be a whole lot tougher than they would have been this time 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay, so when those guys are in, who's out?
That's a good question, man. Like, I think Rocco Grimaldi honestly would have been a candidate at one point. He just scored 4 last night. How do you take him out?
Sorry, Rocco. You should have scored 5, buddy.
Should have scored 5. Like, I think he would have been among the candidates that you take out of the lineup. He scored 4 goals last night, so probably not going to take him out for the foreseeable future. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, you look at the lineup right now at forward. I mean, the wild card continues to be Granlund and some of these guys on expiring contracts. Like, are you going to move on from him?
That would make it easier.
It would make it easier to make those decisions.
If you move Granlund.
Like, are you going to move on from him? You keeping him around and waiting right up until the deadline? Because remember, the team that Granlund keeps getting rumored with the most is Toronto. And if that's going to happen, I mean, you got to be getting close to it.
Right.
I mean, it's March 26th. So I keep kind of keeping one eye on that. But if that doesn't happen, I don't know. I don't know what you do if you're John Hines, because this lineup is playing really well right now. Like, it's difficult for me to imagine, and I don't think it's going to happen, that Matt Duchene will be available for this team and will be able to play. And they're just like, nope, no thanks. You stay over there. Like, I can't envision that happening. But they've got some tough decisions on who to take out of this lineup right now. Maybe Nick Cousins is a guy you could take out. But a lot of forwards playing well right now. A lot of forwards playing a lot better than we've seen them play at any other time this year. And typically, I think you look to the fourth line for some of these discussions.
How are you going to mess with the
fourth line is playing pretty well right now.
Yeah, you going to, and who wants to go tell like Trennan or Olivier that you have to sit down?
Yeah,
maybe Sissons because
maybe
he didn't score for you.
Well,
but then who's centering?
How can you hold that against him though? He was kind of doomed from the start when I picked him.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's like It's a vicious cycle,
Yeah.
I think is what they call it.
Yes.
So, again, Ellie Tolvanen owes you a fruit basket.
Thank you. But definitely not taking him out of the lineup. That's 8 goals for Ellie Tolvanen now. And by the way, got another one called
Rocco
back
has
last
7
night.
now, by the way.
Yeah, he does. He started with 3 last night. Now has 7. Tolvanen got another goal called back last night because Forsberg was about, 1/4 of an inch offside. And he was offside, but almost 2 goals for Ellie Tolvanen last night. So it could have been 8-1.
Yeah, that honestly, like you look at it and it's like, like it's almost like making the deal for Granlund would simplify things, and it might not really hurt you the way you're playing at all, right? I mean, Duchesne has to come in and play well when he comes back. But he'll be joining, well, I shouldn't say this because we don't know how the weekend's going to go, but right now he would be joining a team that has a lot of momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of this weekend, a huge set coming up this weekend for the Predators in Chicago. What do we need to see against the Blackhawks to convince us that this team is actually a contender for the playoffs? We'll discuss that coming up. Take your reaction as well on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porter with you on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Ryan Porter coming back with a little Smash Mouth version of I'm a Believer. You know what movie that's from, Porth?
Shrek.
Oh, yeah.
Shrek 1?
Yeah, Shrek 1.
Shrek 1.
Is it the first one? Yeah.
I am shocked you've actually seen Shrek.
I love Shrek.
I did too.
I thought that was a great animated movie.
Yeah, me too.
You're right.
Eddie Murphy action with Donkey was great.
Yeah, I liked most of them. They started to get not as good.
Yeah,
I don't remember how many there were.
They got progressively worse.
Yeah, but
Shrek 2 was
Shrek
not
2 was
bad.
okay.
Pretty good.
I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying the movies got progressively worse.
Well, that's usually what happens with sequels.
Usually.
I mean, the one with Justin Timberlake as the little snotty prince, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
It made me laugh a lot.
Versatile, Justin Timberlake. Very versatile.
It was him, right?
I think so. Yeah. How about it?
All right.
Well done,
We
Porth,
all
on your
agree.
music selection. By the way, no response on our text line to your trivia question.
Come on, no one?
Yeah?
4 Sticks, Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
There it is.
So
I thought there'd be. Yeah. Oh well, never mind. I thought there'd be a Zeppelin fan out there who would have appreciated that. I don't think they ever say the word 4 sticks in the song, but
maybe not. Talking Preds right now and taking your reaction on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. And all of a sudden, Joe, you look at the standings and Predators have won 5 out of their last 6 games. They're 16, 17, and 1 on the season. And now 4 points behind the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, Chicago has beaten Florida in 2 games in a row. Now, Alex Barkov has not been there to play for Florida. Obviously, that's a gigantic loss for the Panthers. So the Blackhawks, to their credit, have been able to take advantage of that with Barkov out of the lineup, and they sit at 37 points. As I said, Columbus loses in overtime last night, so they get 1 point. So the standings are this. You've got the top 3 in Tampa Bay, Carolina, and Florida. Chicago holding down the 4 spot at 37 points. Columbus are 3 points behind them at 34 points, and the Predators at 33 points. 1 point behind the Blue Jackets, 4 points behind the Chicago Blackhawks, and 3 points ahead of the Dallas Stars, who got a big win last night against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So things are starting to kind of come into picture here in the Central Division, and that sets up a gigantic weekend set for the Predators coming up on the road Saturday and Sunday against the Chicago Blackhawks. So, Joe, we talked about how we viewed this team all season long and how we view them long-term as well. As you look ahead at this matchup specifically for the Predators coming up against the Blackhawks, who they've only seen 2 times to this point all season long, what do you need to see from them in terms of results, in terms of the way that they play this weekend for you to start to believe in them as maybe being able to contend, number 1, for the playoffs, and maybe number 2, in the playoffs?
well, okay, those are 2 very different things.
They are.
For the playoffs, yes, it's possible. I mean, they're in there, and the way things have shaken out. Dallas obviously has been banged up and disappointing. Like you said, that's a big win for them. Maybe that's a positive sign for them. But right now, it's 1 win. You know, I mean, Tampa Bay is going to lose a game here and there. They've lost 7 times this year, but it's very clearly your top 3, and then you got your wild race for the 4th spot. I mean, I think the Preds need to take 3 out of 4 points. You know, right now they both have played 34 games. They're 4 points back. You know, I mean, I think if they can make that 2-point gain by getting 3 out of 4 points, then I think you feel like, okay, I mean, they got the better of the Blackhawks in the series, and they're still moving in a positive direction. So the way they're playing is what you want to see. I mean, I think the way they're playing is really good. You could always just say, well, it was the Red Wings, but again, it's been the Red Wings who have also stymied this team many times. So I think that's still a very positive sign that they just came out and thrashed them like that. So that's it. Get 3 out of 4 points. As far as in the playoffs, I mean, I'm not – until I see it happen, I'm not going to buy this team, you know, hanging with having a chance to beat Tampa Bay in a first-round series. I guess we should also say, I mean, the Hurricanes have a game in hand and they're 3 points behind the Lightning. So it's not like it's a runaway. We just know who the best team is. When they are at their best, they are the best. The defending champs for a reason.
And maybe not just in this division, maybe the entire league as well. I mean, they're really, really good. I think we know that. Now, to your point, I'm not sure there's anything the Predators can do as they move forward here to convince me that they're going to take down a Tampa Bay or a Carolina in the first round of the playoffs. I'd probably have to see that to believe that. But getting into the playoffs, I mean, sure. I mean, I think Chicago, how they match up against Chicago is going to be really interesting because those 6 games, I mean, they could determine by themselves who the 4 seed ends up being here. I mean, Columbus, as you look ahead here, their schedule, they're going to be playing some games against Tampa and against Carolina. They've got some tough games coming up. The Predators, you've got to maximize your points against Chicago if you're gonna get in the playoffs. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, if you go out this weekend and you get swept by Chicago and you go from 4 points back to 8 points back, I mean, that's a gigantic kick to the teeth right there. And all of this momentum that we've talked about, and you're trying to claw your way back into, the race here. You lose 2 games this weekend in regulation, and it goes from 4 to 8. All of a sudden, that momentum gets halted very quickly.
Yeah, it'll end up being about a week of us talking about the playoffs.
Right.
So this is your chance. I will say this is where this wild 1-year setup is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because in a normal season, with this much season left, there might be, 1 game against the Blackhawks left? What do you played, 5 against your division? Am I right about that? In a full year?
I think
5
so.
or 6?
6, yeah.
5 or 6? Is that right?
I think it is 5, yeah. 5.
Okay. So you'd have 1 or 2 left.
Yeah.
And they'd be big games. But now it's like, here you go. You got a whole bunch. It's almost like you have your own little mini playoff series against each other to determine this. Not that not that they're the only 2 teams involved, but those games are going to be huge. And I think it's cool to have more games like that rather than just sort of be all over the map. Once you get into a race like this.
Well, I agree. And taking it a step further beyond just this weekend, you've got Chicago on the road, and you've got 2 at home next week against Dallas, who's right behind you right now. So these games are important too. They've got games in hand, and then you're back against Chicago next Saturday as well. So these next 5 games here for the Predators are about as big as it gets. And it's a credit to them that we're having this conversation because – this time a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, the concept of big games for the Predators to me was out the window, and they fought their way back in. You won 5 out of 6, and now you've got a chance to get yourself back in that mix for a playoff spot. But these next 5, absolutely crucial for the Nashville Predators. Ryan Porth, as you look at the Predators right now and the run they've been on, winning 5 of their last 6, and now heading into a crucial matchup against the Hawks coming up this weekend, what do you need to see to start believing that maybe they're a contender?
I need to see UC Saros continue to play the way he is, because UC Saros has these stretches where he looks fantastic, and then he'll kind of come back to earth a little bit. And not to say that he needs to keep up this pace of like a 980 save percentage in his last 4 games. I mean, it's insane. But, I mean, we know that this Predators franchise for years has thrived off of great goaltending, and UC Saros has been nothing short of spectacular ever since he returned from injury, but it's 4 games. So can they continue to play well in front of him? I've always been big on that UC Saros plays almost as well as the team plays in front of him on most nights. Can they continue to play to this identity that they've kind of formed here in the last few weeks where they are becoming tougher to play against than they ever were in the first 2 months of the year?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And what's going to be interesting about this as when they do start to get some bodies back, it could just be inevitable that save percentage, it is inevitable that the save percentage they've had the last 4 or 5 games, it's going to come down. Like, you're going to start to let in some more goals just because, the pace that Saros has been on since he's come back, to Porth's point, is insane, and that's going to come down at some point. But if it comes down and coincides with Duchesne coming back in and Cunnin coming back in, people are going to freak out. They're going to lose their mind.
No doubt. But the other thing, too, not only UC Saros, but they have been doing this in the last 6 games without Philip Forsberg being that much of a factor.
Yep.
If Forsberg gets hot again, then they could go on a run here where they win 9 of 11 or 10 of 12.
Yeah. And he was
awfully optimistic.
He was single-handedly carrying them for most of the start of this season offensively. And he's kind of run into a slide as of late. Now, he did score a couple of games ago, but he's run into a slide as of late, and he had an assist last night. So, continuing to put up points. I guess the slide's not as bad as I thought. But he's not taking over.
Right. We all know in the first 2 months of the year, he was basically the only one doing anything offensively.
Right, and that's not the case anymore. So, that's encouraging if you're the Predators. You can't just rely on one guy to carry you that way. But, to your point, we've seen him get hot this season and in his career. If he does it again, all of a sudden you could be cooking with some fish grease, as TD likes to put it. I like that.
What about the whole Saros thing? Boiler Bob tweeted at me, didn't Adam Vingan say Saros is not a starting goaltender in the NHL? Now, I corrected him. I think what he said was he's not the long-term answer at starter for the Preds.
Correct. And I'm still not convinced that he is.
Neither am I. I would say he's not.
Yeah, I mean,
but credit to him. The guy's playing
been
great. I mean, it's not like UC Saros has been – he's been good. He's been fine. Yeah. Obviously, you want to find the next Pecorine.
Right. And if he played like this all the time, there'd be no conversation. But the problem is sometimes he plays like this, and sometimes he's got a save percentage hovering around 848. I mean, you're asking for some middle ground.
There's a pretty big – we got a pretty big sample size now of Saros, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, at some point, does it mean that a player can't at some point take it to another level and keep it there? I'm not saying he can't.
And he is only 25.
Right. So anything's possible. I didn't think that this year we would ever have a segment talking about the Preds in the playoffs in late March.
Yeah. But here we are.
So here we are. So just keep an open mind. And if you've been hate watching Preds fans, just enjoy it.
Try to enjoy it.
It's your hockey team, Doesn't mean that they're it doesn't mean that they're going to go get some rentals now at the trading deadline for the run to the playoffs.
Now, you start to see it a little bit last night on Twitter, and our good friend, the Ultimate Predator, he was convinced he no longer wants to sell last night. He was not alone.
Boy.
I've seen some of that last night.
Boy.
The poll question we asked about the hard sell and the soft sell yesterday, it ended up around 80% of people wanting to sell, which is, in a poll, it's a pretty significant amount of people. I wonder what it would be today.
79%?
I think it'd be around like 74, 73. I do.
That game takes 6% down?
You should have seen Twitter last night, man. I'm telling you.
Because Rocco Grimaldi goes nuts, and so it's like, uh-oh.
People can be reactionary.
What's Pred's Facebook talking about?
I don't get on that place.
Is Vegas going to take James Neal from us? Like, what are they talking about right now?
I don't know. Could be. When we come back, we will switch gears and talk a little football. A former Titan on the move. What do we make of that signing? What does he have left of the tank? We'll talk about it next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porther with you on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Streaming live on Periscope, on YouTube, and on Twitch as well. And we've talked a lot about the Predators so far in the show. We'll continue to take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. But, Joe, a former Tennessee Titan on the move yesterday, and I was very interested to see where this player would end up. Malcolm Butler signing a one-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals. The deal could be worth up to $6 million, according to Jeremy Fowler from ESPN. So Patrick Peterson gone in Arizona. Malcolm Butler coming in. And I guess, as I look around that roster, are going to be the top cornerback for the Cardinals in Arizona. So the Cardinals bringing in J.J. Watt. You've got Malcolm Butler in the fold now as well. What do you think of this move for Malcolm Butler going to Arizona? And what do you think of the money involved with the deal being worth up to $6 million?
That's probably about right. Is J.Joe still there?
I don't know. That's a good question.
The reunion of Titans, and the
I would have to
defensive
think
backfield?
no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about right. I think
He's a free agent.
I think he's worth about $6-7 million right now.
J.J.?
No. No, probably not.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify.
Although I'm sure he's like a good coach,
Yeah.
player coach.
Yeah.
Kind of like Butch was a I'm sure an asset to Nick Saban.
Oh, yes.
in,
Yes. I'm sure
Alabama.
he was.
But for Butler, yeah, that's about right, probably.
I'm interested to see how he does this year because we've talked about it, and we were having the debate between Malcolm Butler and Adoree Jackson. And now that Butler is signed, we know the destination for the two of them. Adoree Jackson ends up in New York, Malcolm Butler with the Arizona Cardinals. I'm interested to see which one has the better year. Obviously, that has a lot to do with the team that you're on and the circumstances around you. I think we would agree Arizona a better team at this point than the New York Giants are, but also in a more difficult division as well. So going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm interested to see how Butler does because I think what a lot of Titans fans were worried about when we talked about the discussion between Adoree Jackson and Malcolm Butler was Malcolm Butler's age, and once you get on the other side of 30 as a cornerback, I mean, the drop-off can come pretty rapidly. He's 31 years old. Had a great season last year for the Titans. If he plays anything like he did last year, he's going to be a great asset for the Arizona Cardinals. But at 31, could he be in danger of just falling off the table, not being able to run anymore, and getting exposed that way? I'm interested to see how Malcolm Butler responds this year in Arizona. The nice warm heat of the Arizona desert.
So do these contracts from both of these guys mean I was right?
I mean, maybe. I guess so.
I'll choose to look at it that way.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Giants
Adoree's getting paid a whole lot more than Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
Now, Adoree's also getting paid incredibly too much, but he's getting paid a whole lot more than Malcolm Butler for sure.
Agree. I mean, Adoree is probably ideally, to me, he's about an $8 million a year corner, and Butler's probably about a $6 million a year corner. It's probably about right.
Yeah.
But it's also it's going in different directions. I mean, Butler is older and maybe slowing down here a little bit, and Adoree Jackson is, I still think, as good as he wants to be to a certain point. I think he can be a number one corner in this league. So we'll see. Giants obviously think so too.
They do, and Adoree Jackson still only 25. Like it's really amazing to think about it because it feels to me like Adoree Jackson's been around for a long time. He's 25 years old. He'll be 26 in September of next year. But he's getting paid like a number one cornerback right now. He's got to play like it. And I'm very fascinated to see how this goes in New York with the Giants.
And this will get annoying too, and it always does. But like now Adoree, for a lot of people, he sucked. He was never any good.
Yeah.
So glad he's gone.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, right now, you look at I went on DDC yesterday.
Yes.
And was asked, and it was a good question by Chase, like, what's the weakest position on this team? And I had to think about it for a minute, but yeah, it's got to be corner, right? I mean, isn't corner the obvious answer at this point?
Corner
right at this moment?
Yeah, right at this moment. I mean, even receivers got A.J. Brown. So you feel good about that, Josh Reynolds?
I mean, but at least you got A.J. Brown.
Exactly.
So I'm putting that ahead of corner. I mean, right now, look, Janoris Jenkins is a fine reaction to losing those guys. I think he'll be okay. He's getting older, man.
Yeah.
And I have no idea on Christian Fulton. I know that they must think a lot of Christian Fulton.
Sure. I mean, well, Janoris Jenkins is older than Malcolm Butler. He's 32.
Right. It's cheaper, but
sure.
Yes. No, I know. I like Janoris Jenkins. I think he's always been a really competitive. It really is kind of like just a cheaper Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
Right?
Same sort of style. The way they play. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's fine. Christian Fulton, so much on him. And then TBD. I mean, and that will be different after the draft.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. But they need to pick well. And right now, what's the strongest position? What would you say is the strongest position on the team?
The strongest position on the team? I mean, am I allowed to say quarterback or running back?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I should have told you that up front.
Okay. If it's not quarterback or running back, the strongest position, I would probably say offensive line.
That was my answer.
My guess.
That was my answer.
Look at that.
You feel really good about 4 of the 5 pieces.
Yeah. Still, I think, a big question at right tackle.
I think you feel really good about 3 of the 5 pieces.
Ben Jones is a little up in the air.
But, yeah, Ben Jones is a leader and a veteran,
sure.
A gritty guy. I mean, at some point. But you also, I think, Aaron Brewer is someone they've found, along with like a Sombrilo. I mean, they've found some depth guys that have been solid.
Well, and also, like, as good as Nate Davis was last year, he's 24. I think he could continue to get better.
Oh, yeah.
And continue to develop. I mean, I think he's turning into a really, really good guard in the National Football League. I mean, we talked about it a lot at the end of last year, how early on for Nate Davis in his career, it was a struggle, and then he figured it out towards the end of his first year. And last year, I thought he was rock solid from start to finish, and I still think there's room for growth.
Yeah, it's Lewan, and you got a star, and you got maybe a rising star. And Saffold is awfully good.
Yeah.
But right tackle is still where you wonder. Sombrilo did talk the other day and talked about, he was very vague about plans or where he might fit in, and just getting ready for the season. But he is a guy who's played over there too. So I would suspect that it would be a Lamb-Sombrilo competition at this point, not knowing what might happen in the draft. But I think that's possible. How
close were you in the position you feel the worst about right now for the Titans? Was tight end a point of that discussion for you? I mean, you've got Ferkser back, you've got Swaim back. I know you feel good about those two, but you know you need more than that to compete at that position.
Yeah, I should have thought of that, actually.
Would you put it ahead of corner? I'd still probably give corner the edge.
I'd give corner the edge. I mean, right now you have Kevin Johnson as a starter.
Yeah, it's not good.
And Chris Jackson is coming back. Chris Jackson may actually end up being a safety depth guy. That is possible. But, yeah, it's not good. I mean, Swaim is fine. Ferkser is a good receiver. It's a position that badly needs addressing. That's probably a good 2, strong 2. But we don't know with Christian Fulton. I've seen him run. He runs well. Seen him play some. Looked like a rookie who hadn't been playing a lot. So, that can change with him. But until he shows something different, I think that's a big problem, that position.
No love for Breon Borders?
Yeah, Breon Borders is.
Yeah.
He had some good moments last year.
He did.
He liked playing against Phillip Rivers.
Yes, he
Although
did.
I think he forfeited a gift Phillip Rivers gave him, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
But he got one back later.
Yeah. So, hey, Breon Borders. I feel like the Titans over the last few years have been, like, they've had some decent guys as their
depth corners.
Yeah, Ty Smith was okay.
Yeah.
Kareem Orr, not bad. It's just that it's just hard to find the top line guys, and they don't have them right now.
They do not, and we'll see if they'll go out and get one maybe in the draft. Talked a lot about J.C. Horn yesterday. That's going to be I think, a very popular name with Titans fans as we move forward here. When we come back, the Josh Heupel era officially, I guess, underway at this point. Spring practice at Tennessee, a noticeable absence yesterday for the Tennessee Vols as well. We'll discuss that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, live from the wholesaling studio, powered by RumbleOn.com, here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in. Hour number 2 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porth here with you on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. We'll have Pat Bradley from the SEC Network joining us at 7:30. We'll look ahead at the NCAA tournament with him, the Sweet 16 coming up this weekend. Some SEC teams still in the fold. Also get to kind of the state of the Tennessee basketball program as well. So that coming up later this hour. Call your shot Friday at 7:45. We'll take your bold predictions at 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025 on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Joe, speaking of the Tennessee Volunteers, the Josh Heupel era, I guess officially underway now, with spring practice beginning yesterday for the Vols. And on the field, a noticeable absence for the Tennessee Volunteers yesterday. Freshman quarterback Caden Salter, who was, if not the top recruit for Tennessee this past season, certainly one of the top recruits for Tennessee this past season, not on the field, and apparently is among a group of players that were suspended earlier this month following an off-field incident on campus. Now, Tennessee did not name any players when they first announced these suspensions earlier this month, but Josh Heupel confirming yesterday that Salter is one of those players. And according to 24/7 Sports, one of 4 players arrested on drug charges, along with freshman Aaron Willis, redshirt freshman linebacker Martavius French, and defensive lineman freshman Isaac Washington. So not good news for Caden Salter in the start of his Tennessee football career. How big a deal is this that this is already happening with Caden Salter this quickly into his college career?
24/7 has a police report on this?
That's just what they said in the article.
And it says, does it specify the drug?
No.
Okay. That seems important.
That seems important, too. I mean, my guess when I hear something like that is marijuana.
Right. That'd be my guess, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, how big of it. I mean, was Caden Salter going to come in here and just take over that quarterback competition? Probably not. Now, he's still someone with a lot of potential. There's a lot of hope in him, and it's not a great start. You don't want that to be the first thing that happens. Like the early enrollee that's someone who graduated early, and it's a go-getter going, getting to school early, and then immediately you get in trouble for something. That's not great. It's not the end of the world. It's not great. And this program during this spring probably needs everybody it can have and as much good news as it can have. I mean, I know everybody's sitting there looking at the roster like, is Henry To'oTo'o? Is he gonna come back home?
Did you see all the stuff yesterday about how he was back on campus for the Vols, and maybe that means he's coming back to the team?
Yeah, I saw something about it.
Yeah.
Has anybody figured that out?
No.
Yeah. But he's not. I mean, the roster doesn't include him. Doesn't include. There's another key player who people were hopeful of. Who is that?
They've lost so many people.
They've lost.
Back and think.
I think they've lost. Well into the teens. I mean, they're well below the scholarship limit right now, which again that happens with coaching changes, but the quarterback situation is the one area that people are excited about. It's the one thing you feel good about with Josh Heupel, the offense, the quarterbacks, and now the freshman people would love to see is not involved, and that's a downer. So, but I've kind of looked at it like, I think Hendon Hooker, comes in with a real shot. I know our David Ubben, he puts it at 45% on Hooker right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's his going into the spring chances of being the starter after it's all said and done, with Bailey at 35. So there's 80.
Sounds about right.
There's 80% of your possibility in those. So those seem to be the top two.
No love for Brian Maurer?
He's there.
Somehow.
Who knows? He's Brian Maurer, he's got a lot of ability. Very active guy, I wouldn't count him out. I'll be honest, I thought with Salter coming in, with Hooker coming in, Bailey kind of moving past him, I kind of figured Maurer would be moving on, but here he is. So I'm not totally discounting him.
No,
we don't know this, we don't know how, in particular with this offense, any of these guys fit.
Right.
And we don't know, one of them may just blow everybody else away in terms of recognition and chemistry with receivers and all that stuff. That's where this spring's actually interesting.
It is interesting, and as far as the timetable, maybe for Caden Salter to get back on the field, that's not clear at the moment. Heupel saying yesterday, quote, that's being handled on campus, And as we receive information, we'll act accordingly. There's high expectations, high standards to represent Tennessee football. And at the same time, we're going to stay true to those kids and support them as they go through this process. And as we gain information, we'll be able to share that. So that's the quote yesterday from Josh Heupel. So we'll see what becomes of this from Caden Salter's point of view and the other three freshmen involved as well. It's interesting, like as you view this roster, obviously, as you've mentioned, a lot of losses for this program. Eric Gray no longer there. I mean, JT Shrout has moved on as well. They've lost some key players on their roster. Henry To'oTo'o, we'll see what happens with that as well. What do you think the biggest challenge is for Josh Heupel, trying to establish that new identity for your team, trying to establish, quote-unquote, the new culture, that term that we love to use in college football? As you look at spring football, which thankfully we're having this year, and hopefully we're going to be able to have the whole time this year, some more off-season, I guess, programs and opportunities than you had a year ago in college football, so some time to implement some things you want to do offensively. What do you think the biggest challenge is for Heupel as he tries to get this group to a place where they can maybe try to compete for a bowl game next year?
Well, it's probably going to be having a defense that's good enough. I think that even with all the offensive line losses, I actually think they have some pretty decent talent returning up front. You know, some guys who, could be solid players. The Mays brothers, of course, are back, and even like a Javonte Spriggins and some of these guys. I mean, I feel like, obviously we'll see. Darnell Wright is a guy who has not lived up to the hype, obviously, but I still think you'd rather have him than not have him right now. So I think the offense, I think there's talent at receiver. Running back is a huge question. Quarterback, obviously. But I just feel like if there's something you can count on Josh Heupel doing, it's picking the right quarterback and having better quarterback play than they've had in the last few years. Defense, I really don't know. Are they going to be competitive on D? Are they going to be solid? There's some young guys. You like some of those young outside linebackers, certainly, that have some potential. But, man, the linebacker, like the back seven situation is a big question mark to me, I don't know who's going to emerge if they have enough talent. And also, so far, Josh Heupel's defenses haven't been good.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking on the back end right now. I mean, Bryce Thompson's gone. Alontae Taylor is still there. Henry To'oTo'o, who knows what's going to end up happening with him. I would say it's probably unlikely that he's going to be back at this point.
Right.
So, I mean, even with him in there last year, struggled on that side of the ball. I mean, it could be rough defensively for this group, not only with Heupel and kind of the history that we've already seen there, but just the talent. There's just not much there on that side of the ball right now. And that, to me, that's got to be an area in recruiting where you've got to compete. I mean, pass rush was just almost non-existent for this team last year. They've got to find a way to address that. And right now, I mean, you've got Middleton still there. You've got Aubrey Solomon still there as well. There's not much there in the way of pass rush. And that's, if you don't have that in this league, hard to compete.
Well, I do think like a guy like Tyler Barron, I like what I've seen from him at times last year. Like, Roman Harrison, Morvan Joseph. You got some guys who could make plays. I really like Elijah Simmons as if he's in great shape and all that. I do think he has great upside as a player. I mean, they are at safety. Like Danico Slaughter's a guy people like, and they've got some guys back who have played some decent football for them. I mean, Jalen McCullough was mostly hurt last year, right? I mean, I think he can be a pretty good player. So, I mean, it's not like they're completely devoid of talent, but you just got to have standouts and certainly like inside linebacker. You got Jeremy Banks leading the charge there.
That's not what you want.
No, it's not what you want. But I guess really if you look at it, there are more guys who have showed something on some of the defensive positions than for example, I mean, a sore spot last year that needs to be way better. And honestly, I don't even know. It's important to every offense, but tight end. I mean, that was a weak spot, and I don't know what's going to happen at running back. You got Tyon Evans is the top JUCO guy. Sometimes that turns into a great player right away, and sometimes it doesn't mean much at all. I mean, he's certainly – because they've got to have somebody who cause look, Josh Heupel, it's quarterback, it's that throw down offense. He runs the ball out still. Got to have a good running back. Jabari Small, how good is he?
Yeah, it's great. And I think you feel okay about your weapons at wide receiver. Like, Velus Jones is back. Jalen Hyatt, I think, could be a really special player in this league. So you've got some pieces there that I think you feel good about. We'll see about, Jimmy Holiday, Jimmy Callaway as well. That position, I think, on offense is something that you probably feel good about. Even a guy like, Malachi Wideman as well. Like, there's
Ramel Keaton is fine.
They've got some young pieces there that I think you feel really good about. And honestly, like, I thought one of the biggest indictments of Jim Chaney last year was Velus Jones, to me, is a guy that can play. They never got him the ball. Like, they never got him the ball. You've got to find a way to get that guy the ball. I thought him deciding to come back was big for this offense, regardless of who the quarterback is.
Yeah, they throw the random little bubble screen to him or something like that. And look, maybe it's partially on him that he wasn't more involved in the downfield stuff. But I agree.
Look good with JT Shrout, though.
Right, yeah. You put the ball in his hands, and that's where you want the ball. So, yeah, hopefully he improves and they figure out that they need to use it. And I do. I think Jalen Hyatt could be the next big receiver at Tennessee.
I agree. So we'll continue to keep you monitored on spring practice at Tennessee, and hopefully for their sake, Caden Salter and the other three freshmen are back in there as soon as possible. When we come back, we will look ahead to some Sweet 16 action coming up this weekend in the NCAA tournament. We'll do that next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. How'd you like to watch the Preds game in style? Make sure you're tuning in later on in the show as we reveal a keyword for you to text into the game line at 615-737-1025 for your chance to win the T-Mobile Hockey Home Gate. It's your chance to watch a weekend Preds game with the Dos Equis prize pack, which includes a case of beer, dessert from Nothing But Cakes, a T-Mobile prize pack, and food provided by 312 Pizza Company in Germantown. You must be 21 or older to enter, and we'll have that opportunity coming up for you a little bit later here in the show. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Pat Bradley from the SEC Network will join us at 7:30. We'll get hot and heavy into the NCAA tournament and some SEC teams still in the mix with him, so looking forward to that conversation coming up here in about 10 minutes. And Joe Rexrode, the Sweet 16 will get underway this weekend. It has been a great NCAA tournament so far. Upsets, great games all around, and still some great storylines left in the tournament. What's the most intriguing storyline to you that's still left in the tournament as we sit here heading into the Sweet 16? What are you most interested to watch as we move forward here?
That's a tough question. I mean, obviously, we're not used to seeing a 15 here. So, Oral Roberts is sort of the Cinderella, although not the only surprise team here. But Syracuse as a double-digit seed, that's almost normal in this tournament.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
Buddy Buckets, baby.
Yeah, I think I might go with I might tell my computer to shut up, and I might go with Loyola and see if they can get to the Final Four. I think that. Because I really think that they've got a great chance. I mean, I think in terms of the basketball this weekend, Sunday is a better day. I think you got three of those four games on Sunday are, to me, great. Florida State, Michigan. I think UCLA, Alabama is really good.
Yeah.
UCLA is another one. They're an 11 seed, but I mean, I've seen enough of them now. Boy, that's a talented team. Johnny Juzang, they've got some good players. I think they're going to give Alabama a game. And then you got your little Pac-12. I mean, it's just a Pac-12 just festival here,
yeah, it is.
With four of these teams in there. But it's got to be storyline. It's got to be Loyola. And is Loyola – I mean, I think around Loyola, big picture in the sport, is Loyola – because, I mean, gosh, when Middle Tennessee a few years ago, they beat Michigan State, and then they go and they beat Minnesota. And I remember writing this, who's the next Butler? That's what everybody's talking about. I mean, Gonzaga is a different level. They are a Power 5 power, right?
Right. But
Butler is the example of the, solid mid-major program, and then you get to this next level of kind of sustaining success. And everybody's trying to find who the next one is. And I think Loyola could be that, but I also think Porter Moser, like if I was Indiana, I'd be looking to
making a phone call.
Yeah, a lot of programs. But he actually might be the guy who, Brad Stevens turned down a lot of jobs before going to the NBA, but Porter Moser may be the guy who's like, you know what, I like Chicago. We got it rolling here. I might just stick around here and get paid, and maybe not as much as some places, but still get paid well and have a chance to keep making runs like this.
I've got an upset special for you. Are you ready for it?
Okay.
I think the most likely upset this weekend, as much as I don't like it, would be Syracuse against Houston. That zone, the way Buddy Buckets is playing right now, and this kind of fits Jim Boeheim and what we've seen from him before. I think Syracuse has got a good shot to pull off this upset against Houston.
Oh, I do too.
And I don't like it because I don't like Jim Boeheim in Syracuse, but whatever.
Yeah, I like Boeheim's son better than him.
Yes.
I appreciate watching Buddy Buckets because that guy is he's a heck of a shooter, heck of a player. But, yeah, the Boeheim stuff gets old. That zone is a pain to deal with, and it's very weird with that program how it goes in this tournament. A lot of times they're not good during the season. They have runs. They have good teams that get bounced right away. I know that happens to some extent to a lot of programs, but it's the zone in particular is a difference maker for them. So
Ryan
I won't
Ford,
be surprised.
Am I disrespecting the American Athletic Conference?
No.
Okay. I just want to check.
No.
Not giving Houston enough respect.
I mean, look, Kelvin Sampson doesn't have this long history of doing great things in the tournament. I mean, he's had some talented teams bow out early before. I trust Jim Boeheim a lot more than I trust Kelvin Sampson in a big game.
Yeah.
That's just me.
I'm trying to think, was Sampson, did he get Oklahoma to one Final Four? I think he did, didn't he?
How long ago was that?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Like 20 years ago?
Almost. Yeah, it would have been early 2000s. He had some really good teams there. Sampson's he's an interesting case. You know, when he was at Oklahoma, I think like their graduation rate was like 0%. And I mean, he goes to Indiana and like Tom Crean took over for him, and man, heard some things about. I mean, they're well documented about how bad things were in the Indiana program when Sampson left.
Yeah,
I mean there was all the stuff with phone calls that he got in trouble for, but also just like complete disregard for academics and stuff like that. So I didn't think Kelvin Sampson was going to get another good chance, but he's a good basketball coach, and if you can win, eventually you will find your way back to a team, and here he is. So maybe he's gotten better all the way around since then. I mean, speaking of that, Will Wade.
Yes.
Which, by the way, Pat Forty had the story yesterday that the FBI investigation is still ongoing.
Still going.
Did not realize that. So they're still tracking.
Look at a lot of tapes, man.
Yeah.
A lot of wiretapping going on with Will Wade.
You'd think at some point something would happen there.
Yeah, you would think, but maybe not. I'm done holding my breath that anything's going to happen to Will Wade at this point. Joe, still 2 SEC teams left in this tournament. Alabama taking on UCLA on Sunday. Arkansas taking on Oral Roberts on Saturday. Picked both those teams in my Final Four, by the way, so I feel good about that. I think the Oral Roberts story has been a good one, and you've taken down Ohio State, you've taken down Florida. So, like, sneaking up on people and, kind of giving the surprise element of this, I think is gone at this point. Once you get to the Sweet 16, you're not going to sneak up on anybody. You're not going to surprise anybody. What do you think of this matchup for Arkansas against Oral Roberts, who have taken down 2 big-time programs already in college basketball?
Well, like Lisa Byington told us this week, Oral Roberts has 2 absolute players who can play anywhere.
Yep.
And that's what's great about this tournament is you get these older guys who weren't big recruits, who work crazy on their games and become and gosh darn it, she told us how to say his name, and
I've totally forgotten.
Amos?
Are you going to attempt it?
Is it Amos?
Sure.
You just totally take out the B. I think that's right. Max Amos, Max ABMAS,
yes.
24.5 points a game, but he is a tremendous player. And then Kevin Obanor is also, he's 19 and 10 basically.
Is it no Banner?
Okay.
I don't know.
It sounds too much like O'Bannon, Ed O'Bannon.
Yeah, it does.
But hey, when you have 2 guys like that, you have a chance. I would think Arkansas would win this game, but sometimes, I think back to George Mason. They shocked Michigan State. I was there for that one. They shocked North Carolina. It was like, oh, good, nice run. They just keep shocking people.
Yep.
Kansas. Then they beat UConn, one of the greatest teams that didn't get to the Final Four. And this is in 2006. And it's like, well, and VCU did the same thing with Shaka Smart. They go first 4, and you say, okay, nice story, VCU, great. Kept winning.
Keep going.
So sometimes it happens. It'd be amazing to see a 15 get to the Elite 8. I don't believe that's ever happened. But when you have 2 players like that, you got a chance. But I agree. Look, if you had Arkansas Baylor in the Elite 8, what a game that could be.
Yeah.
And Alabama Michigan in the Elite 8 too. And the only thing that stinks about all of this is that the Elite 8 games are like Monday and Tuesday night.
Yes. Absolutely. Different element added to the tournament this year. Hey, 102.5 The Game is kicking off every weekend with some free beer.
Free beer!
And who doesn't love free beer? Tune in all day today for your chance to win a $25 gift card from Bavarian Beer House located at Opry Mills Mall. We'll have that opportunity coming up for you at 9:45 here today on the show. When we come back, We'll continue the conversation on the NCAA tournament. Pat Bradley from the SEC Network will join us. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porth here with you on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. It has been a wild NCAA tournament so far and more action to come this weekend. And to help us talk more about that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Pat Bradley from the SEC Network. Pat, what's going on, man? Thanks for taking time to join us.
No problem. How you guys doing? You got some hot coffee there? You guys go with the cold brew.
Oh, are you going hot or cold, Joe?
I'm straight cold, man. Straight cold.
Okay,
man.
really? There we go.
I'm
Dunkin' Donuts ice cold coffee.
Nice. That's a bold strategy. I like that.
I go hot, but as long as it's caffeinated, I'm good. It'll work out, right?
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Pat, what have you thought of this tournament so far with just the amount of upsets that we've seen? Oral Roberts, a 15 seed now in the Sweet 16, Loyola Chicago making some noise as well. Just from a viewing perspective, where do you think this tournament ranks in terms of the entertainment value through the first weekend?
Well, I think to that point, it's the greatest and most exciting ever, right? And probably because we didn't have one last year. And it's been such a strange season. And we didn't know if we were going to have one. And we got scared because there was one game that had to be no contested and with VCU. So from that respect, it will be it'll be up there with the most memorable, maybe the most memorable. It's hard to beat like Larry Bird, Michigan State, and all those. But first of all, that just sets it apart as being unique. I will say this. Yes, there were a lot of high seeds, and I've seen all the numbers. You add up all the seeds, it's like it amounts to the highest number since like 85 or whatever it is. Here's the reality, though. When you're dealing with a UCLA team who comes from a power conference at an 11 seed, you're dealing with Syracuse, an 11 seed. Oregon State, power conference, 12 seed. So I look, and I don't, Loyola Chicago, you watch them, that is a heck of a team, man. I mean, they were in the Final Four a couple of years ago, so it's not really like, I had Illinois going to the Final Four out of that bracket, so yes, it was an upset. Although you look at it and you're like, I can see how, though, they can win that game. So Oral Roberts is really the, if you were to say, Cinderella. Because the rest of them, guys, are really Cinderellas in a sense. And they're power team. Even, Creighton's a power 6. We do power 6 in basketball because of the Big East. So, yes. I mean, I know I don't want to because I dream big, fellas. I dream big and I love it. The underdog. But at the end of the day, it's we're probably going to have a 1 seed, a 2 seed, a 1 or a 3 seed, and then a 2 seed in the Final Four. Potentially, if Loyola Chicago, though, I think they can beat Houston. They can beat anybody, really, out of the Midwest. So, it's a wild and crazy year. The upsets seem to be expected outside of that Oral Roberts game. Both of them, actually.
Well, let's go to that, Pat, and to your alma mater. First of all, how much excitement is there in the Arkansas fan base for this team getting back to this level after such a long time, for where things are going under Eric Musselman, and what do you think about this matchup? I mean, Oral Roberts has 2 players who, I have to say, I think they can play on any team in this tournament from what I've seen of those 2 guys.
And the point guard they have, Max Asmus. It's taken me a couple of weeks to figure out how to say his name.
We were just botching it.
It's taken all of us that long, too. Don't feel bad.
Well, the B sounds like an S, and then I had somebody say that didn't even say the B or the S. They call him Amos. So Max, to me, he's played so well. He's like a first-name guy now, right?
Just right. Max, yeah.
LeBron, you know what I mean? Larry, Magic, Max. So, you're right. When you look at the rest of the teams in this tournament, you would take him at point guard against really all of them. I mean, straight point guard, right? Like Jalen Suggs, Gonzaga, I get you. Baylor has those trio of guards who are all good. But this kid, Max Asmus, man, what makes him really difficult is he's really fast, he's quick, he's got great change of speed, change of direction. So usually slow guys like me have to utilize change of speed, change of direction. But when you've got a lightning bolt who understands that, it's devastating. I mean, it's just brutal. And then you add in he can shoot it from range. He's the Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, Trae Young But what I think helped him now is he's distributing the ball a little bit more to his teammates. And so that makes him now not just that big-time scorer, he's helping his other guys get shots. Unfortunately for Oral Roberts, they seem to be a two-man scoring machine. So if they can get help, because Arkansas can defend now, they've got Eric Musselman has put together personnel to be able to defend the perimeter. He's got length. He's got quickness on the perimeter. And that was by design on really, the kind of players that he wanted to get in his system to be able to run the game plan and the style that he wants to run.
Pat Bradley from the SEC Network on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And, Pat, the other SEC team left in this tournament, Alabama. What have you thought of the job that Nate Oates has done with this group, and what sort of a chance do you give Alabama to maybe make a run here to the Final Four or maybe beyond?
Well, I think with Nate Oates and Eric Musselman, both of those guys in their second years, their communication skills are off the charts because they've had to explain to the team, each player, here's your role, here's what I want. And Nate Oates, we know the style that he wants, and it's not just chunk up threes by any means, because Alabama is just as happy beating you, making 25 layups and 25 free throws, as they are making 25 threes. As a matter of fact, I think against Iona they made 5, I believe it is. And then obviously in Maryland they just go absolutely crazy from the three-point line. It just shows you their versatility. And that's what I hope people nationally take from this Alabama team, that they're a great defensive team in that they can beat you, and they will most likely most of the time beat you from the three-point line, but they can get to the rim. They get out in transition. I mean, and they're bigger than you think. Like UCLA has some real length outside of their point guard. Guys, they got 4 guards that go from 6'5" to 6, like shooters too. So, but the thing, Alabama, do you know Alabama can go John Petty 6'5", Josh Primo 6'6", Herb Jones 6'8", Alex Reed 6'9", and then Jordan Bruner 6'10". And guess what? All those 5 guys shoot 30%, all the way up to like 48% from the three-point line. And those 3 perimeter defenders, come on now. Like Herb Jones, I forget when I watch, he's 6'8". Like because he plays so fluidly, you think he's like 6'4", 6'5". But fellas, 6'8". The tallest guy UCLA has is 6'9", the tallest player. It just gives you an idea of like Herb Jones. And if you haven't played against him before, don't realize his size and length, man, I just think, this is why the tournament is so difficult, because you're playing against teams and players you maybe watch on film or TV, but when you get up against it, it's a different animal.
Yeah, no doubt. Herb Jones is he's just so fun to watch both ends. Pat, I will say I would love to see an Elite Eight matchup with Alabama-Michigan, because Hunter Dickinson, that is the kind of size that could be a problem for Alabama. But what a contrast of styles that would be. So speaking of that, which would of course be a Big Ten SEC showdown, we saw that LSU gave Michigan a run. We've seen the Pac-12 just go nuts in this thing. The Big Ten really disappoint, other than Michigan. Do you draw conference conclusions? I know fans like to do this based on tournament results.
I can't. I understand it's fun. My conference, your conference, we play in the SEC Big 12 showdown, and I love rubbing it in all the Big 12 suckers' faces every chance I get. We were 6-4. You guys stink, right? You suck. But I look at it individually, and everybody saw Illinois play leading up to the end of the season. I mean, they looked like they could win a national championship. And then you watch the game with Loyola Chicago, and Loyola played quite possibly, I don't think anyone's played a perfect basketball game. They looked pretty darn close. And so, and then Ohio State, you look at that game, do you realize Oral Roberts has been the recipient? And I'm going to say has been the recipient because I don't think they forced all those turnovers. 36 turnovers in 2 games between Ohio State and Florida. That's not winning basketball. So, and then Ohio State picks the wrong day to miss shots. And then, again, going back to the unfamiliarity, that's a tough word to say early in the morning, with your opponent, I don't know if they knew what Max A-Smith could do. You know, O'Banner, big O'Banner, what he could do, his versatility. So you add all those things in, and, yeah, I don't think it's the conference per se. It's just the nature of how difficult tournament basketball is in general. If you're not playing your best, like all these teams are good teams. Like they're all won their league. Think about this. I know you guys probably don't follow like it as closely, but Arkansas, just because, you know, for obvious reasons, they were getting criticized because of their non-conference schedule. They were 8-0 in the non-conference, right? And they were getting criticized because it was a cream puff schedule. But you know who they had to beat in the non-conference? Nobody knew it. Abilene Christian, who just beat Texas. They played Oral Roberts, obviously, who's in the Sweet 16. And then they of course, now that I'm talking about it, I forget off the top of my head, another team in the tournament who one of a Cinderella team who knocked a team off. So you just don't know on any given day. But my point is, all these 68 teams, or even the first 4 teams, these are good. They all win their league. So, you know, it's tough to really say that the league. I don't really want to hammer the Big Ten, or now we lift up the Pac-12. I think it's just, you know, when you get to the tournament, it's one-on-one. Every team for themselves, baby.
That's right. Pat Bradley from the SEC Network has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Pat, really appreciate you taking time to join us this morning, man, and looking forward to some more great college basketball action coming up this weekend. All
right. You know, that's really grinding my gears. I can't remember that third team. I'm going to call back or text somebody when I remember.
Sounds good.
My brain is definitely shot right now.
That's okay.
All right, you boys be good.
You as well. Pat Bradley from the SEC Network has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. When we come back, it's time for Call Your Shot Friday. We need your bold predictions in the world of sports. 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025 on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 1025 The Game.
sports weekend has arrived. You know what that means.
Shoot your shot.
It's time for Call Your Shot Friday with Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And it is time for Call Your Shot Friday here on Robby and Rexrode. We need your bold predictions in the world of sports. It can be the Titans. It can be the Predators. You can take it the NCAA tournament. Any route is on the table on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, very quickly, how did we do last week in our Call Your Shot Friday?
Well, I guess we should always start with Porth.
15 of them?
Yeah, so Preds and Stars will get in a fight Sunday. Dickinson will be involved. Granlund will be traded to the Islanders. Now, did he say it would happen this week, or is that okay?
No, so that was just before the deadline.
Okay, you got your Ohio upsets Virginia. You got that. Combined 4, 11, and 12 seeds will win in round one. You had UCLA, yes. Syracuse, yes. UCSB, no. Winthrop, no. 2 will make the Sweet 16. UCLA and UCSB. You got half of that right. So, we'll give you half credit for that. Robby, Granlund, you got Maple Leafs. So
yep.
Have we all called Granlund shots?
Stay with the Predators.
Anastasia Hayes scoring 30 or more, but UT wins. You had UT winning, right? Did she?
She had 26.
She did 26. Okay, close. And Morehead State did Sweet 16. No. I liked them too.
It was rough.
I said the Titans will not sign another big free agent, but they will sign 2 more players. Actually, I think at this moment I'm exactly right? They signed Reynolds and they signed the special teams linebacker, right?
Yes.
So does that make me actually technically right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pat yourself on the back there.
I will. Thank you. Annie Hayes scored 30. Lady Vols will survive. So, again, same thing as you, and both half right. Morehead State and Ohio will score shockers. Again, half right. And I had 1 double-digit seed alive in the Sweet 16, and that was Syracuse. So I had them right, but boy, was I wrong about this tournament.
Yes, you were, as were we all. So with that in mind, let's get to today's edition of Call Your Shot Friday. Ryan Porth, as we do every week, let's begin with you.
All right. Well, first of all, let's get to what Pat Bradley could not think of last segment, and he texted me during the break saying, tell them North Texas was the other team that Arkansas beat.
There you go.
Oh, the Mean Green, baby.
Mean Green.
The Mean Green fighting machine. So
that's a good call.
All right. So called shots. I've got a handful. I know that surprises y'all. Let's start with the NC2A tournament. My modified Final Four is Gonzaga, Alabama, Baylor, and Loyola. That will be the Final Four.
Okay.
And also, in the next 4 days, between the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, we get 2 game-ending buzzer beaters.
Okay.
We have had 0 buzzer beaters so far in the tournament, and we get 2 of them.
All right.
In the next 4 days. Why are you laughing?
I don't know. Just some of the things you say on this segment is amazing to me. Continue.
All right. Going to hockey, the Predators accumulate more points in this weekend series than the Chicago Blackhawks.
Okay.
So I'm basically saying that
they're going to get 3 points
yes.
or 4 points.
Yes, and the Blackhawks only get 2.
Right.
Colton Sissons will score a goal this weekend.
Oh, that's going to make me so mad if that happens.
And then don't forget, next Thursday's opening day in baseball.
Yeah.
Calling the shot, the Atlanta Braves win the National League in 2021.
Really?
Oh, okay. You're going ahead to baseball now. All right.
Ahead of the Dodgers.
The next Call Your Shot Friday, it
baseball
won't be preseason.
That's true.
It won't be spring training.
That is true. So going with the Braves ahead of the Dodgers. How about that? Joe Rexrode, your called shots for the week would be what?
Okay, so you know what? Let me make sure. Porth, I can't keep up with Porth with my typing. Okay, so 2 buzzer beaters.
Get a new keyboard.
I still have my alternative keyboard here. I should probably fix the T at some point, shouldn't I?
Fix the T.
But you don't need a T
power
for
T.
Joe Davion Yarn Croak. No, Rex Croak.
Rex
you don't
Croak.
need a T in that.
Yes.
Okay, so you got 2 buzzer beaters, Braves, Sissons, Preds, more points than the Blackhawks. Yeah, I cannot believe that you said that about your modified Final Four. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's exactly my Final Four. So there's my first shot.
Okay, there you go.
And by the way, Gonzaga, Alabama, and Baylor are original Final Four picks of mine on my original bracket.
Humble brag.
Hey, don't worry because I picked Illinois to win it all. But yes, I'm rolling with Sister Jean. And please, people, just enjoy Sister Jean and stop whining about Sister Jean. Okay,
she's 101 years old.
God.
Come
on. So there's one. I'm saying the Preds are going to get 1 point in Chicago. I'm sorry to be the downer, but usually when we call Preds shots on here, it's like they're going to have 4 hat tricks and sweep the series. And all that stuff. The Preds are going to get 1 point, and we're going to go back to some reality here. So I'll be the Debbie Downer there.
Okay.
But I will be
Sunshine Blower?
Sunshine Blower on this regard. By the time we gather next week for Call Your Shot, Robby will have a point in Preds pick.
Yeah, come on. All right.
Robby will have a point.
Yes.
It's going to happen. I mean, it's a law of averages thing at this point. So I feel very good about it.
Okay. I appreciate your confidence.
And I'm actually going to do a baseball futures thing as well. After watching him throw that no-hitter, and it's going to be close, and his team, it could be either one of these guys, could be somebody else, but I'm going to say Jack Leiter is the first pick.
Okay.
In the next MLB draft.
And that would be to the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah, it would be. And they've been very active in,
Zoom calls.
Well, they've been around, all over Vanderbilt, and everybody's, assuming like Kumar Rocker, and it still could be, but Jack Leiter's it's both of those guys. If they stay healthy, man, they're going to be something else.
Probably in good shape, regardless of which way you go there. I will go through mine very quickly. I've got 2, so it's not going to take very long. Syracuse will beat Houston this week. I'm confident in it. Buddy Boeheim, it continues. Syracuse moving on to the Elite Eight. And Philip Forsberg, 2 goals this weekend against the Blackhawks. We'll see if I can not Preds pick to click, get things right.
I like that.
But 2 goals this weekend against the Blackhawks. Very quickly, let's go to our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Steve from the Borough texts in says the Preds will sweep the Blackhawks this weekend. So Steve confident in the Preds. Greg says Colton Sissons will score a goal in one of the 2 weekend Chicago Blackhawks games. I'm sure that he probably will now that I've already picked him, so probably a good call by Greg on that front. Got a texter that says the Preds end this weekend in a playoff spot after 2 regulation wins against the Blackhawks, so a lot of confidence in the Nashville Predators. Nate echoes that by saying Preds win both against Chicago this weekend, each game by 1 goal. One of those games will be won on the power play by Ellie Tolvanen. So lots of confidence on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com about the Nashville Predators this weekend.
Yep. Had to throw a little doom and gloom on you. Sorry. We'll see. We'll see who's right.
We'll see who's right.
Early in the year, there was a lot of whatever the Preds are doing was well, the Preds will certainly win both games and, win one by 7 goals. And I'm exaggerating, but.
Then it happened yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. It finally happened against the Red Wings.
That's right. When we come back, we'll switch gears, get back into the Tennessee Titans. Our man, Tyron Davenport, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter and host of Talking with TD, will join us. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode live from the wholesaling studio, powered by RumbleOn.com here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in. Hour number 3 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porth here with you on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Going to be joined shortly by Tyron Davenport, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter. We'll get into the latest with the Tennessee Titans with him. Terry Crisp coming up at 8:30 to discuss Rocco Grimaldi's big night. Last night, a 4-goal game for Grimaldi and another win for the Nashville Predators. We'll do that at 8:30. And then weekend winners coming up at 9:30 as well. So a lot to get to still today here on the show. And as always, streaming live on Periscope, on YouTube, and on Twitch as well. Joe Rexrode with his lucky coffee cup today on the show. We're feeling good about ourselves. Now, when you've got the coffee cup that's that small, it does require a little bit more trips for you.
Yeah, it's exercise.
Yeah, a little bit of exercise.
Probably should do this more often. And really, everybody should have this.
Shh. No one cares.
Shh. No one cares. I don't know who brought this into my home, but what a blessing.
What a blessing this coffee cup is. As you've said, maybe the cup that gets used when the dish is maybe getting a little light.
Yeah, but I've had other choices today.
Okay.
I thought, you know what? It's Friday. Let's have a little fun.
This is how we're going to end the week here. I like that.
But yeah, the big ones were in the dishwasher. So, yeah. But I had other small options, and I went with this one. So,
that's right.
Cheers to you.
Joe, we talked earlier in the show, Malcolm Butler signing a 1-year deal yesterday with the Arizona Cardinals. Could be worth up to $6 million, according to Jeremy Fowler from ESPN. What do you think of that fit for Malcolm Butler, and what do you think he's still got left in the tank at this point as he goes out west to play in Arizona alongside our man J.J. Watt?
Well, that's probably a good landing spot for him and a good price for him, and it's probably about right. Still think he's a good player. He's on the wrong side of 30. I was picking Adoree because of speed, and that's still a concern with Malcolm Butler. But, I mean, he's immediately going to bring a certain tenacity, competitiveness that the Titans loved when he was here, and it's a good addition for them. So I think people will like him in Arizona. Now, he may get torched a few times, and people don't like that as much. But overall, competitive, really good football player. So it'd be cool to see him have a good season with them.
It would be, and I think a lot of Titans fans are going to be fascinated to kind of track the progress of those two cornerbacks, of Butler ending up with the Cardinals, Adoree Jackson ending up with the New York Giants. I'm fascinated to see how that goes. Two different teams. I mean, you've got a division in the NFC West that right now is as good as any division in the NFL, and you've got a division in the NFC East with the Giants that is by far the worst division in the NFL. So could be very interesting to see how that works out. And I guess from the Giants' point of view, and if you're getting in Adoree Jackson, Kenny Golladay coming into the fold as well, you feel maybe you can turn things around pretty quickly in that division given how bad it was.
I also feel validated in picking Adoree Jackson based on the numbers, although the Giants may have made a huge mistake. But I mean, at least in terms of how other teams feel about these guys,
yes,
it's a pretty big gap.
Yes, there is a big gap. Probably way too big of a gap, but yes.
And it's probably about right with Butler, and we'll see. We'll see with the Giants. I'm not ruling out Adoree Jackson taking his game to another level and coming close to justifying that money. That is a lot of money, though. It's a lot of money based on what we've seen so far.
You're going to have to do a lot to justify that money.
Yeah. But also, let's not turn this into – I know what it's going to turn into. You know, it's just like Mariota, who never completed a pass here. And, I mean, you may have been a Mariota hater from day one. But
it wasn't day one, but it was pretty early.
It was pretty early, yeah. But, you know –
again, I think he's a great person, by the way.
Yeah, well –
great guy.
Yeah, he's also a quarterback who, you know, threw for – 3,600 yards and 36 touchdowns and 9 picks. And
looked like he was skipping rocks on 8-yard out routes at times. But, yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't perfect. But the point is, now people look at him like, oh, that guy was total garbage. No, he wasn't total garbage. So don't do that with Adoree Jackson. He wasn't Adoree Jackson and Corey Davis both didn't live up to where they were drafted.
Yeah.
But they were both good football players.
Go to our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Josh texts in and says, I think Butler will have a big year and Adoree will be a big flop. I think that could be a popular sentiment.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see. I mean, Dory did not look good coming off the injury last year. He looked to me like a guy growing into a larger role and a better player in 2019. So we'll see. The Giants obviously believe that's the guy they're getting, not the guy last year who came off the knee injury and didn't play very well. But I think a lot of fans liked Butler better, and I understand it. Butler is this outspoken, aggressive, physical guy that you love to root for, and Adoree is a guy you look at and you think, man, he's so talented. He could be so good. Have a little bit of Butler in you, Put a little bit of Butler in your game. It's not his demeanor. So fans like, and I get it. I mean, most people like the Butler approach better than the Jackson approach.
Sure. It's going to be interesting to see how long Butler can hold up. I mean, he is 31 years old. He was great last season for the Titans, one of maybe 2 or 3 guys that played really well consistently on defense for the Titans last year. He is 31 years old, and it's interesting at that position. Like, it's the NFL, and it's a young man's game. Like, you could fall off the table early compared to some other sports. But, like, it does seem like at cornerback, once you start to get around 30, things start to disintegrate relatively quickly for some. That seems to be kind of like the age of some of the point of no return. Now, you do have Malcolm Butler. You've got Janoris Jenkins as well.
They just brought in Janoris Jenkins.
Who is older than Malcolm Butler.
Yeah. So, yeah, it happens. Hey, I remember I'll go back, another one of those declaring my age, but like Darryl Green, for example, for Washington. He was still a really good player well into his 30s. So it happens.
Richard Sherman still going along out there?
Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen with him.
I don't know. They talked yesterday.
Someone will sign him,
the conversation yesterday with Sherman was about maybe a potential reunion in Seattle, going back to Pete Carroll and the Seahawks. I don't know. Maybe that helps. Maybe it helps Russell Wilson, his relationship with the Seahawks. I don't know.
But some of those guys, some of those defensive guys from the Legion of Boom didn't like Russell Wilson, right?
Yeah.
So I don't remember if that was Richard Sherman
it's
or
probably
not.
Earl Thomas, because I don't know how he likes anybody. But
yeah. Who knows? He's still probably, I don't know. With Richard Sherman, he's probably, he's still good enough to be in the league, right?
Sure.
But the fact that he's out there right now doesn't shock me. I mean, because he's had serious injuries too, and that's another thing. It's not just age; it's what kind of stuff have you gone through.
Yeah, and by the way, we're going to have Tyron Davenport coming up at 8:15. We've kind of had some issues with the phone, but we've worked that out now. He's going to join us in the next segment at 8:15. I'm interested to get his thoughts on Josh Reynolds, because you come in, I think you and I feel like both of us feel like he could be a good number 3 for this team, and you still got to draft relatively high when it comes to wide receiver in the draft. But Josh Reynolds, a guy, as we mentioned the other day on the show, very durable. I mean, he's a guy that I think you can rely on to stay healthy, and it is the NFL. There's always a risk. All it's going to take is one hit, and that story can change. But you're talking about a guy that all 4 years of his career has played in 16 games. So you feel really good about that if you're the Titans moving forward here. I think this could end up being a really good signing for the Titans with Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, TD tweeted yesterday. Someone tweeted about Brandon Lloyd, which is interesting. 600 yards. Only once in his first 7 years in the league did he have more than 600. 5 of those years less than 400. This is Eric Crocker on Twitter. And then in year 8 with the Broncos, 14, 15, 11 touchdowns. TD tweeted, this is who Josh Reynolds reminds me of. So that'll be one question for him. Just as a player, or he thinks like this is what's coming for him, some big breakout season. I think Josh Reynolds looks at himself as the 2 here. And again, whatever you want. Right now he certainly is. Now, I think they have to invest a high draft pick in someone who may end up being that guy. But you know what? There are plenty of teams where the 2 and 3 aren't all that. They're interchangeable.
Yeah.
And that could be the case too. I mean, obviously the Titans hope Reynolds takes a step up. He's young, like you said. He's durable. He's coming off his best season. I've always thought he was a good player. I mean, it's you can't. There's one football, and there are other guys in that team who are getting it a lot.
Hey, when the Preds have a weekday game this season, it's your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click, brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka. If you guess a Preds player that scores a goal in the game that night, you will win a prize pack. The next chance to participate is Tuesday morning at 8:45. So maybe, hopefully, some redemption at some point coming for Robby Stanley in this competition.
Get your game face on right now.
Yeah, I got to prepare. Maybe some film study involved this weekend as well. When we come back, we'll be joined by Tyron Davenport, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter. We'll do that next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
ESPN's Tyron Davenport talking Titans now on Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
That's right. We love Fridays here on the show because that means we get to talk to our man Tyron Davenport, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter and host of Talking with TD. With that in mind, let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Tyron Davenport. TD, what's going on, Brian? How we doing?
Hey, man, I like moving it to 8:15 because then I could get my theme music back. The jizzle.
That's right. I mean, we're just kind of
genius.
we're setting the tone here right from the beginning of this interview. And TD, I've been really curious and interested all week to get your perspective on Josh Reynolds. And I know that's been a guy that you've talked about for a long time, that you've been in on for a long time, and have studied for a long time. So what stands out to you about Josh Reynolds? And when you factor in what you knew about him coming out of college and what you've seen on him now at the NFL level, what kind of a signing do you think this is for the Titans?
Yeah, I think it's a really solid signing, and quietly it could be one of their best signings, excluding the obvious Bud Dupree. But, you know, for me, you get two different Josh Reynolds, you know, and the one that I remember coming out of A&M, he was a deep ball specialist. I mean, he was a guy that, you know, was really good at stacking corners, attacked the football, and did what he had to do. Now, with the Rams, they didn't use him the same. So, you know, you didn't really get to see that deep pass-catching ability. He even talked about that a little bit, you know, on his virtual presser. They used him a lot on hitches and things like that. But I think he's a really solid player. I don't think he's Corey Davis, but I think he can help fill in.
Well, and so I mentioned last segment, TD, the tweet that you quote tweeted yesterday, and you know, interesting. I hadn't remember this about Brandon Lloyd, but how he kind of had, you know, some solid seasons, and then he blows up well into his career with the Broncos. And you tweeted it and said, you know, this is who reminds me of Josh Reynolds. Then you just sent us you wrote that right away. You wrote the Brandon. So what's the Brandon Lloyd Reynolds comparison to you?
Yeah, that comp is something I first made in 2017 when he was coming out of A&M. And for me, I make that comparison because neither one of those guys are fast. Like, I remember Brandon Lloyd, and he was running his routes, and I was like, yo, how is he getting open? You know, how is he leading the league in yards per catch and total yards, you know, receiving? But it was all about the ability, like I said, with Reynolds to stack corners, right? And, you know, you see him beat a corner and then get in front of him and just be able to just put himself in position where only he could make the play on the ball. And that's what Josh Reynolds did really well coming out of A&M or even at A&M. And then I remember watching him do exactly that at the Senior Bowl. So that's why I made the comp. And also their ability to go up and attack the ball. Now, Brandon Lloyd made a lot of, like, circus catches. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying Josh Reynolds is going to, you know, make the one-handed catches that you remember 10 years ago. But I'm saying that he attacks the football in a way similar to how Brandon Lloyd did it.
TD, there's been a lot of conversation this week on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, talking about Jeffrey Simmons and what the expectations should be for him heading into next season. Now that he's got Danico Autry next to him and Bud Dupree on the outside as well, what do you think bringing those two guys in specifically can do for Jeffrey Simmons in terms of his production?
Yeah, I think it's going to help a lot. And I've said this before. You go back and watch the early games of last year with Clowney out there, Simmons was really extra effective. And he still had a solid year, you know, once Clowney went down, but his best game came with Clowney in the lineup. And I think when you add Bud Dupree, when you add Autry, you know, these give you guys that will be able to pull some of the attention away, and you won't see as many double teams on Jeffrey Simmons. Then in addition to that, you look at stunts and the things, you know, go back and watch Pittsburgh games. You'll see them running a lot of stunts with Dupree and Casey, I almost said Casey Hayward. Yeah, Casey Hayward. You see them doing that. And also with the other guy, Pruitt. You know what I mean? Stephon Pruitt. Or Tuitt, rather. So you'll see those. And then you watch the Colts, and you see some of the things that they did, the twists and games up front, and then just the way Autry and DeForest Buckner were able to combine and just really wreak havoc. I think this is what you could expect from Jeffrey Simmons. So that's going to help all around.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to take Chase McCabe's question to me and apply it to you. So right now,
all right,
your best and worst position groups for this team as things stand, as obviously understanding that the draft's going to change things.
Yeah, I think your best group is easily the front. So we'll say just the defensive line / outside linebackers. The worst group, I'm going to have to say receiver because that's the one group where you have, well, you can say tight end too. So I'll say tight end and receiver because both of those groups, tight end, who is the starter? Like, who is the clear-cut starter at tight end? That's not known yet, right? And then at receivers, okay, who is the slot? Josh Reynolds has played it before. A.J. Brown could play it, but I feel you want both of those guys on the outside. So that being said, when you go 3 receiver sets, who's that receiver in the slot? So there's a question there.
ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter and host of Talking with TD, Tyron Davenport, on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
All right, I got to follow up on the slot receiver. Talk me out of Rondale Moore. Why shouldn't the Titans draft? I'm like totally
TD, Joe Rexrode is totally in love with Rondale Moore.
I just think Rondale Moore is going to come in this league and just crush people, and people are going to look at his height and count it against him. But am I missing something? I know he got hurt in college.
Well, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do for you, Rexrode. I'm going to ask him when I have him on Talking with TD next week.
Yeah.
Amari Rodgers. But, for me, if there was something that I had to nitpick or white glove, it would be, can he be the same player he was pre-injury? And I think that is a question. But, I mean, you look at the athleticism he showed at Pro Day, I think he's going to be back on track to be that guy. And I think that would be the only question. Can he get back to what he was freshman year?
TD, Malcolm Butler signing a 1-year deal yesterday with the Arizona Cardinals, could be worth up to $6 million. What do you think of that fit with Arizona, and what do you think Malcolm Butler still has left in the tank as he heads out west to join the Cardinals?
Yeah, I think it's a good fit. I think, that's a team where, from what I've seen, they will, use a lot of man coverage, and I think Butler's a pretty good man corner. Just don't have him man up on a receiver and not have a safety help over top, against a deep threat. But other than that, I think he's solid there. I think it is a good fit. I think he still has some left in the tank. I'm not saying a Pro Bowl level player, but I mean, you watch him last year. He played all games, and he was good to go. He did get beat the one time by Will Fuller, but other than that, you didn't really see too many issues with him. As a matter of fact, he locked down guys. I mean, you look at that stretch: Chase Claypool, A.J. Green, and then Allen Robinson. That was a pretty good stretch for him, and the only one who had anything near 100 yards was Robinson, and he didn't be a factor in the game or catch any touchdowns.
What were you surprised by the numbers on the Adoree Jackson deal with the Giants?
Yeah, I was very surprised. I was very surprised, and God bless Adoree for getting himself into a better situation financially. But I don't know who the Giants were bidding against. I know the Eagles were interested, but it was my understanding that they were out right at $10 million. So why you had to go to 13, and also knowing that you had Darnay Holmes on the team who, is somebody that Adoree mentored, and then you had Logan Ryan, who is somebody that mentored Adoree. Like, you have all of the things that would make him want to go to the Giants, right? So I don't think they really had to go $3 million per year over what the Eagles were going to do.
TD, I want to ask you about an interesting guy that if you watched the SEC last year, you're very familiar with, and that is Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss. And Lane Kiffin obviously very high on him yesterday at his pro day as well. What kind of a pro do you think Elijah Moore can be at the NFL level? And could that be an option for the Titans, who could be looking for wide receiver help in the draft?
Well, let me say this. I've been watching Elijah Moore since his freshman year, and I've been saying how good of a fit he would be for the Titans since that year when I was watching A.J. Brown, right? And he's a guy, he will come in at the slot, but he gives you a vertical threat at the slot. He gives you a route technician at the slot. He gives you a guy who will attack the football, plays bigger than that 5'9" size that he has. But in addition to that, you could put him outside, and he'll still do fine. Like, I wouldn't do it consistently, but if you want to switch up a matchup, right, and put A.J. Brown in the slot and have him outside at the Z, you could do that. And that's what I like about him. He could do everything. Lane Kiffin actually said that he had the right mindset. He said that he's wired right and similar to Amari Cooper, who that he coached at Alabama. And then in addition to that, he also said that he plays bigger than his size, and that's the truth. I asked him about, what it is that makes him able to play inside and outside. And he just simply put said he's a dog, and those are the things that you want out of the receiver position. That's that aggressive, that alpha type of personality that you want. And I think he would be a really good pro, and he would be a solid pick. You see what he did also, the 4.34. I'm not going to say that's official because, everybody is running under 4.4 all of a sudden.
Yeah,
but still, even if you add, 0.1 second to it, it's a 4.4. That's solid speed.
Yeah, those pro day, timers sometimes a
Pretty
little
good.
bit friendlier. But, so there's two guys, two mores, and I like them both a lot, who are, like you said, kind of, they're slot receivers. But do you think it's important for the Titans to think of it in those terms? Like you said, I mean, Elijah Moore could move around, but do you think it's important for the Titans to think slot receiver, or is it just get the best receiver you can get and move people around?
Yeah, I think you get the best receiver that you could get and move people around. Unfortunately, right now, you have Cam Batson who could play slot. You have A.J. Brown, who you saw the Ravens game when he, was dominating Marlon Humphrey in the slot. And Josh Reynolds, he played a lot in the slot last year. So, you definitely have guys that could do it. I think Rashad Bateman is really intriguing because he's someone else, a big body that could play the slot. But you watch his 2019 tape, and he ate people alive from the outside. So he's a very intriguing option at 22. We're going to have him on Talking with TD eventually as well. But, he's someone that I'm really attracted to as far as what he brings to the table.
And TD, speaking of Talking with TD, the new episode is up. What can people expect? I know a loaded NFL draft prospect lineup this week on Talking with TD.
Yeah, I mean, we talked all this receiver. So, we had a guy from Temple, Brandon Mack, 6'5", 220. The Titans have shown interest in him, so he's on there. We got Grant Stewart, and you guys and girls, you're going to love his story, man. I asked him why he plays football the way he does, because he's one of those, hair on fire type of guys. And he had a really interesting story and reason for, loving the game and why he plays it that way. And anytime we talk about edge defenders, right, Azeez Ojulari is the guy that I mentioned. You know what I mean? And I'm smiling now as I say his name, but I'm really excited to have him on the show. So we had a great conversation there. So definitely check it out. And you asked about Josh Reynolds. Chris Sanders gave his opinion on him as well. So definitely check out the show.
Very nice. Tyron Davenport, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter and host of Talking with TD, has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. TD, great stuff, man. Hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Take care.
Absolutely. When we come back, we will get into the Nashville Predators. We'll be joined by Preds TV analyst Terry Crisp. That's coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode. You're on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Back through to center. Here come the Predators 2-on-2. Howla in front. Grimaldi scores! What a beautiful play! Stealing the puck behind the net, going to the left side. They shot the score! Lifting the puck out from low along the left side. And here again is Rocco Grimaldi to make it 3-0. From the angle instead, and off it comes down to Grimaldi. And folks, at 8:08 of the first period, Rocco Grimaldi has himself a hat trick. Here's Grimaldi breaking in, looking for his fourth. He gets it! Rocco Grimaldi tying Eric Nystrom with a 4-goal night.
What a night it was last night for Rocco Grimaldi and the Nashville Predators. They hammer the Detroit Red Wings 7-1. Rocco scores 4 goals, and the Preds all of a sudden creeping back into the playoff race. They've won 5 out of their past 6 games. And to help us talk more about that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend, Predators TV analyst Terry Crisp. Crispy, what's going on? I imagine your coffee tasting quite good today.
You know what it does? I'm happy now because for 2 reasons: 2 points, and Grimaldi gets 4 goals, and I'm just hoping that most of the people out there today are safe and sound after that storm went through. So if that's the case, then I will enjoy my coffee.
Absolutely, Crispy. Well said. And let's start with Rocco Grimaldi. I mean, obviously, 4 goals last night. That's going to be the headline today, not only with the Predators, but in the league in general. Just what was it like from your vantage point to watch that? And when players, when they start games off that way and you've got a goal and it seems like every puck that they've got and every chance that they've got is going in, from a coach's point of view, what's that like when you see that happen with one of your players?
You know what? You're feeling happy for him, especially for a player such as Rocco, who, doesn't get a lot of ice time, has been snake bit the same as Arby, getting so many chances. They work their buns off every game. They go full tilt, full bore, for the full 60 minutes. They run into guys. They run into the boards. They go to the net. They get hammered. And for once in a while, you're just happy to see. And when he got a couple of them, we were so happy for him because, he and Arby have been working their tails off. And then suddenly, like Pete Weber just said, at 8:08, the Grimaldi had a hat trick. And then when he got the 4th one, we were going nuts. But if you want to hear something really loud and crazy, was when it was right at the end of the game, and Lindsay and I and our crew were all listening, and they were jamming at the puck, and it was Rocco Grimaldi jamming at the puck in the crease. And we're almost screaming, yelling, get in, because if that goes in, we got 5 goals, and we got history made for the Preds for the first 5-goal game by a player. And we were sure he was going to get it. We were almost positive he was going to hammer that puck in.
Gosh, Rocco, such a disappointment, Rocco. You didn't get your
could have had
buddy.
5.
Come on, Rocco.
I'm going to tell him, work a little harder.
Yeah. Come pick it up, Rocco. Let's go.
Yeah. Quit taking time out to pat yourself in the back.
All right, so Crispy, I'm going to put you in the coach seat for a minute, and this team is playing better. Obviously, they're on a roll. They got a good feeling about them. They're working hard. The style they want to play that really has been talked about since before the season is kind of manifesting itself on the ice. So now you're the coach, and Matt Duchene and Luke Cunnin are healthy. What are you doing with the lineup?
You know what? Right now, I'm not making any changes, not a lot. And I know it's a greasy slope for a coach to walk on because you have your veterans, and your veterans are the ones that are supposedly going to carry your hockey club or should be doing it. And they're the ones that come in, and when they get injured, and there's always an unwritten rule, you don't lose your job through injuries. And that's sort of been a hidden rule, but it's there. And if you're like Duchene and Cunnin and them, they get injured playing, they have the right to come back and improve it. But again, when your team is on a roll like this, now you're thinking, okay, what's best for this hockey club? And that's what the coaching staff will be thinking right now, and David Poyle and them. If this team continues on the vein it's on, why do you interrupt it? Why do you mess with it? You guys know the old adage, if it ain't broke,
don't fix it.
Don't fix it. And right now, the team's not broke. They're hitting stride. They feel good. If you listen to the interviews, Olivier and I had one of the best interviews in a long time, but if you listen to Sissons and Olivier and Benning and Rocco Grimaldi after the game, hell, you'd have thought he didn't score any goals.
I know.
And I said, Lindsay and I looked at him and said, we love modesty, and but once in a while in your career, the sun shines on you, and you take that moment of glory and revel in it. Just roll around in it and say, I know my dad would be proud of me, and et cetera. I don't care what it is. He thanked his teammates. He thanked the ice makers, his Zamboni driver, all but himself.
I did notice that last night from Rocco for sure. Preds TV analyst Terry Crisp on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And Crispy, obviously, one of the big stories in the turnaround as of late has been goaltending. And UC Saros, since he's come back from injury, has just been playing at an almost otherworldly level when you factor in the numbers. I mean, his save percentage right now since he's come back is somewhere around like 985 or somewhere like that. So it's been incredible to watch. How do you handle the goaltending situation moving forward, knowing that Saros is playing well, but also knowing you've got a whole lot of games coming up if you're John Hines and the Predators in not a very long amount of time. So you're going to need both guys as they move forward here.
Exactly, and the goalies know it. Both Saros and Rene know this. The coaching staff know it. The players know it, and we all know it. That you're going to hit a bump and you're going to need a rest, whether it be Saros or whether it be Pecorine. And they both have said to them that they both respect. They're like little brothers, big brother and little brother out there, Saros and Rene. And they realize that the bottom line is win. And the number one thing is the team winning, not the individual, not who gets all the ice time or who plays goal. And the coaching staff, in my estimation, if I'm part of a coaching staff, I'm saying, hey, he's hot. And we run him. It's like if you got an ace pitcher and he's hot, you don't take your ace pitcher out and put in bring him from the bullpen or whatever the hell you call it, baseball. No, you run him, and if he's healthy and he feels good. And there was an interesting interview Kara Hammer had with Ben Vanderklok, the goaltending coach here. And he said that working with Saros and Rene, said Saros is the young kid now coming in that he's extremely, I forget the word, but dedicated. He wants to see every game afterwards. He wants to go through every video they have of him afterwards. He wants to learn. He wants to see. And Vanderklok says he's just like a fanatic for that, and that's what he wants. So it's now showing up in his game.
All right, Crispy, I got to get you on the story of the week in this league. Tim Peel on the hot mic the other night, and it's become a league-wide discussion. And you can't get fined anymore. So let me ask you, what is the state of officiating in this league, and how many conversations have you had over the years with officials who said, hey, we had to give you one or whatever?
I can tell you what, I won't get fined, but I get fired.
That's true. That's true. You'll be fine.
You got to be honest about this. There's not a gag order, but we have among ourselves, and Skillsy and Mason and I, we've all played the game, and we've all been through it. We know what players go through. We know what officials go through, and et cetera. So, no, we're not we have no response on that whatsoever. The league handles their own things, and we just move on and get with it. So I apologize to you gentlemen for that, but no comment.
That's all good. Terry Crisp, Predators TV analyst, has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Crispy, appreciate you taking time to join us this morning, man.
Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me on. I enjoy being with you. And by the way, my coffee tastes extra good today. It's what did the fourth man say? It's just a rockin' coffee.
That's right. That's right.
Put an ing on the end of that if you didn't get it.
That's right. Absolutely. Terry Crisp has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll continue the discussion on the Nashville Predators when we come back. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
What just happened?
Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porth are with you on this Friday morning. Ryan Porth having a spasm attack back there. I don't know what's going on. Coming back from break.
Was he trying to play a song and it didn't work?
It just didn't work, and now he's lost it. This is another example of how we're streaming live on Periscope, YouTube, and on Twitch, and how we need to have a camera option for Porth.
He's way more entertaining than we are. What was the song, Ryan? What was the song that we were supposed to hear?
Could you compose yourself long enough to tell us what the song was supposed to be?
It was going to be All I Do Is Win.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, it worked out well then that didn't play. I'm sorry, that's one of those songs that, Who sings that song?
DJ Khaled.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just
Miami legend.
It just grates on the.
It's a little brutal.
It's a little bit brutal.
Yeah.
So thank you, Porth. Good job. Great.
Great.
All right, there you go.
How long has that been their post-game victory song?
It's been a minute now.
I mean, in 5 years that I've been here,
that's not their post-game. That's like probably 50% of sports teams.
Oh no, I know. But I know it's theirs.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be.
No.
It's not mandatory that it's their post-game victory song. Maybe they could change it up.
Maybe so. What's your suggestion for a victory song?
I will come up with a list of 20 before the end of the show. That will be
okay.
And they also will not include "We Are the Champions" by Queen. By the way,
all right.
There are better ways to go about this.
I just love the look of panic on Porth's face. He's sitting there like trying to hit a button, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what to do with my hands. It was great.
Then he almost falls over in his chair.
Yes. What a sequence for Ryan Porth here on the program. And what a sequence last night for Rocco Grimaldi. 4 goals for the Nashville Predators, including a hat trick in 2 minutes and 34 seconds. So he scores a hat trick 8 minutes and 8 seconds into the first period. From the time he scores his first goal to the time he scores his third goal, 2 minutes and 34 seconds elapsed for the Nashville Predators. It was pretty amazing, and it's one of those things that if you went to the game last night or even if you just watched it, you'll always remember that game just based on 4 goals being scored. I did think, once he got to 3, I immediately started thinking about Eric Nystrom against Calgary back in 2014, who ended up scoring 4 goals in that game, and the game went to overtime. The Predators actually lost that game, and he didn't even get on the ice in overtime. It's like, what do you got to do to get on the ice in overtime? I've scored 4 goals.
You've given us your 4 goals.
Yeah,
have a seat, Eric.
You just go over there and sit down for a minute.
Yeah, now Rocco gets pulled from the lineup after his 4-goal night.
Yeah, he almost had 5. As Crispy said in the last segment, he had a pretty great chance for his 5th one late in the third period. And Grimaldi was talking about last night, he was trying to get off the ice, and his teammates on the bench were just like, nope, stay out there, buddy. You just keep going. So gassed at the end of that shift last night, but almost found a way to a 5th one. That would have been pretty amazing. 5 goals, that would have been the first time in Preds history. And now we sit here with 4 goals, and the 2 names that have done it in the history of the Nashville Predators, Eric Nystrom, Rocco Grimaldi.
Yeah, not what you might expect. Do we have the John Hines quote on Grimaldi?
We do.
I'd like to hear that.
Ryan Porth, are we able to play this quote now?
Can you play something, Porth?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's play the quote from John Hines last night on the win for the Predators and the performance of Rocco Grimaldi. Here's what Nashville Predators head coach John Hines had to say.
I thought the first few shifts, Detroit really they put us on our heels a little bit in the D zone. I thought we defended well, and then once we got up and running, and Rocco was flying. Obviously, in the first period, it was nice to see him get the goals, and I think it might be the fastest hat trick in franchise history now. I think he bypassed Sullivan, I believe. So, that was pretty special. I think it was the fastest 3 goals. I think it was at 45 seconds in franchise history. So pretty special by the group tonight. Rocco was flying, and it brought a ton of energy to our team and a ton of energy to the building. And as you said, we talked in between the first and second period, and the way that the team responded to start the second period and the way we played the third period, I thought just showed a lot of guys buying in, playing the right way, doing the right things, playing for each other, and I thought as the game went on, we continued to play the right way, and I think that's a mark of a group that's really committed to each other.
So that was John Hines after the game last night.
Again, the camera not on Porth. It's a real problem. It's a real problem.
I almost want to pick it up and turn it around.
He's completely lost it back there. Okay, so one of two things. Okay, so either John Hines went running before the presser, or like, is this a microphone thing?
I don't know, man. He was
drawing in
fast.
wind.
He was.
That was loudly drawing in wind.
He got tired watching Rocco Grimaldi out there last night, I guess. Skating around, making noise.
It's microphone week, I guess.
I guess so. Looked good. Oh, man, that was funny. I don't know what he's laughing at.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, goodness. Well, Rocco Grimaldi did speak after the game last night, talking about how special it was for him to score 4 goals. Specifically in this game, Grimaldi, born in California, moved to Michigan as a child and played in the Little Caesars League there in Detroit as well. So obviously grew up watching the Red Wings. Here's what Rocco Grimaldi had to say about scoring 4 goals against Detroit.
It's weird, a kid that grows up a Detroit Red Wings fan, a kid who is from California but grows up as a Red Wings fan, who gets the opportunity to move to Michigan. And I know the man who brought me to Michigan was in the stands tonight, Glenn Murray, son-in-law of Mr. and Mrs. Illich. To have him in the stands, I mean, to grow up with Kenny Daniels, Mickey Redmond, watching those games, and to know that they called tonight's game, it's surreal for me. It's special. I have nothing but respect for that organization. The family that owns the organization, the people in it. I've known them for a long, long time. For them to be in the building tonight was extremely special. To have them call my game was extremely special, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for them. And it's crazy. I don't know what to say.
So that was Rocco Grimaldi after the game last night, talking about how special it was to get that done against the Detroit Red Wings. You're going to have to do a Twitter live of Porth just crying in the control room. But really cool stuff there. Just talking about growing up a Red Wings fan, playing in that league. Mickey Redmond and Kenny Daniels on the call last night, 2 legends in their own right in Detroit on that goal.
He can't stop. Oh, my gosh, listen to him.
He's coming through the room.
All right, let's see if
This is unbelievable.
Can I tweet this video?
I've tried to talk about how cool this was for Grimaldi last night to score this goal. Score 4 goals against the Red Wings.
It was awesome.
Can't even let him spit it out in there. Thank you, Porth.
So, I will say that I thought it was very cool that Rocco talked about Mickey Redmond, because let me tell you something.
Dude's a legend.
God, I love Mickey Redmond.
Yes.
But it made me, earlier on the show we played that clip, and it made me think. I hadn't really thought much about this. I mean, I've seen Mickey Redmond agonize. Just feel it in his bones on camera when the Red Wings, when they were great, when they would lose a tough game.
When they were 52-14.
Yeah. The Russian fight. What have the last few years been like for Mickey Redmond?
Way
to keep trucking, man. Way to keep trucking. I hope he enjoyed Grimaldi's 4 goals last night.
Let's go back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Mike texts in and says, I was waiting for Hines to say, Luke, I am your father, the way that he was breathing there. That's pretty good.
Rocco.
That was not good. That was not a good Darth Vader impression at all. God, that was awful. Let's go back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Adam in Portland texts in, I bet John Hines is around the breakfast table this morning saying, what now, Nashville? Get off my back a little bit.
Yeah,
Maybe
John,
so.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Vingan's not asking about his job after the game anymore. He's winning. And now, we're we're talking about the drawing in of air. But it's weird. The sound was weird. Something. It had to be a microphone thing, right?
Yeah.
We hear him all the time. We hear John Hines all the time. He comes on here with us.
It was just a sensitive microphone. That's all it is. Everybody takes a breath. You can't just talk without breathing.
But, can that happen? How does that happen? I don't know audio stuff. You guys know this stuff. You know this stuff, Porth. How does that happen?
I don't know.
Compose yourself and answer the question.
He must have really been close to the mic.
Yeah.
Is that it? Just being close to it?
Yeah.
The mic was put too close. Mike was put too close to him.
I don't know.
Have you?
Maybe.
This is not a thing that it's not a common thing, is it?
Maybe now you're going to start to notice it a lot more.
Oh, yeah. Now you're going to notice
it
every
press
breath
conference.
that every person takes at a press
From
conference.
here on out.
No, but I mean, I've noticed it before, but that was so loud.
It was. It really has bothered you.
Well, it doesn't bother me. Dude, when we played it earlier in the show, you and I were sitting here looking at each other like, what in the world are we listening to? Right?
Yes, yeah, you're right.
I mean,
look, he was just really. It's not every day you see 4 goals being scored by your player. That's all it is.
I mean, Rocco took his breath away.
Yeah, a breathtaking performance by
there
Rocco
we go.
Grimaldi.
Let's close it out with the dad
right.
jokes. Very nice.
Speaking,
we hit on all the important topics
of the Nashville Predators. 102.5 The Game and T-Mobile have teamed up to help you continue the tradition with a hockey home gating party, and it's time to text in to the game line at 615-737-1025 for your chance to win the T-Mobile Hockey Home Gate. You can watch a weekend Preds game with a Dos Equis prize pack, which includes a case of beer, dessert from Nothing But Cakes, a T-Mobile prize pack, and food provided by 312 Pizza Company in Germantown. Just text the word GAME to 615-737-1025. That's GAME to 615-737-1025 now to enter. The winner will be contacted on Thursday. You must be 21 or older to enter. We'll be right back. This is Robby and Rexrode, live from the Wholesale Link Studio, powered by RumbleOn.com. Here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, fourth and final hour of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porter with you on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee, and streaming live on YouTube, on Periscope, and on Twitch as well. We've had some requests come in on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, asking for video of Ryan Porter losing his mind and laughing. We have video. I'll have that tweeted out here in just a few minutes for your viewing pleasure. At RStanleyNHL, at Joe Rexrode on Twitter.
Why are you the one having to tweet it out? Why can't Joe just tweet it out?
Well, I had to do some editing.
Oh.
Yeah, I create the art, and then Robby molds it into something magical.
Makes it into something made by Picasso.
Yeah,
right.
That's what we do here on the program. Some details coming out on Kevin Johnson's contract. This coming from Aaron Wilson, who covers the Texans for the Houston Chronicle. And the details are this. A one-year contract for Kevin Johnson, $2.25 million, $2 million of which is guaranteed, a $1 million signing bonus, a salary of $1 million that's guaranteed, and up to $250K per game active roster bonus. So not a ton of money being spent on Kevin Johnson.
Not a starter's contract.
No. So hopefully if you're the Titans, he's not starting.
Right. Not a starter. So
yes,
it
that's generally how that
up.
works. Very, very, very good job of matching that up here by the Tennessee Titans. Joe, I kind of had this idea the other day after Rick Barnes and Tennessee were eliminated in the NCAA tournament, kind of doing a state of the union on the coaches here in Tennessee, specifically with some of the bigger teams or programs here in our state. And really four that I want to focus in on primarily, and we can go some different directions with people outside of this, but the four primary coaches that I want to focus on for the sake of this discussion are Mike Vrabel with the Tennessee Titans, John Hines with the Nashville Predators, Josh Heupel coming in with the Tennessee Vols football program, and Rick Barnes in basketball. Just kind of highlighting what the trajectory is for each of those teams, each of those coaches, and what we expect out of those teams and programs as they move forward here over the next couple of years. So of those four, I guess the interesting question I'd like to know is of Vrabel and John Hines and Josh Heupel and Rick Barnes, if you're a fan out there, which of those four do you have the most confidence in at this point? You can let us know on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Joe, let's start on Mike Vrabel, because to me, he's a really interesting kind of figure in this discussion. I think the majority of what Vrabel has done in his tenure with the Titans has been really good. Obviously, in his second year, they got to the AFC title game. And even in the disaster at times that was last year, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, you found a way to get to 11-5 and win the division for the first time since 2008. So I know Titans fans and even us here on the show have acted like last year was a disaster, and in some ways it was. Still a lot of good to come from last year as well. But I do feel like right now, based on maybe the Shane Bowen decision, maybe the way he handles the media at times, there is a portion of the Titans fan base that's not very happy with Mike Vrabel at the moment, based on the way this past season has gone. Who do you think, or as you view Mike Vrabel right now and how he sits with the Titans, what do you think the vibe is around him? What do you think the opinion is of the Titans fan base? And where do you see it going from here?
All right, before I answer that, are you being the Tennessee fan who just wants to exclude Vanderbilt from existing on the face of the earth?
No.
Because I think Clark Lee, if we're going to talk trajectory for a brand new coach.
You put him in there.
Okay. I'm putting an asterisk next to Clark Lee. But on the
he's taking over a program that won 0 games last year. So
sure, no, I know
not much where to go but up. But yeah, I hear you.
Yes, I know where they are. I'm just saying it's still the SEC football program in this city, and I mean a program that has beaten Tennessee 3 of the last.
I hear what you're saying.
times.
I'm just saying the floor is it's 0 wins. You do better than 0 wins, you're in good shape.
Yes. Well, that's true. But the floor. I mean, Josh Heupel's taken over complete meltdown, investigation. I mean,
we can put Clark Lee in the discussion.
Thank you. As for Vrabel, yeah, I think the Vrabel, it's an interesting situation because overall it's been a very good tenure. I think he's the best record tied with Jack Pardee at this point in a career in franchise history, which, of course, goes back to the Oilers, not just Titans era. He's got an AFC championship run. He's got a division title. Most of what we've heard, from players has been very positive about him. Now, we did have last week the Wesley Woodyard stuff about him and Dean Pease, and obviously Woodyard did not like how things ended with him. Of course, the way things ended with him was basically Jaylen Brown gets his job back when he's healthy against Kansas City, and that's the last game Wesley Woodyard, so you have to keep that in context. But still, I mean, it's the first real player saying something other than, man, it was great playing for Mike Vrabel. But I do think from the fans, people are very I don't know. Is it an NFL thing? People were all over Mularkey too. When Mularkey, I mean, how much of the fan base was upset when Mike Mularkey got fired?
Not much.
Some though, right?
Some were upset.
I know I was like, gosh, the guy won a playoff game.
Jared was upset.
He was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I was upset. I was like, you just fired the guy that won the first playoff game in a decade? Cool.
Right.
Now, it's worked out since then.
It has. But I think maybe some of it is the public persona thing, which is when things do go poorly, and they've had bad stretches. I mean, you're 2-4 last year before the switch to Tannehill, which was obviously a great switch, but it was not going well. And maybe the reaction to that has rubbed some people the wrong way at times. The Shane Bowen thing, I think you're right. I think that's one of those things. I think there's a lot this year on his choices like that, continuing to keep it internal, and keep it to people he knows versus going out and finding new ideas. I think that's very much up for, referendum this year, right? And I think some fans are already very skeptical of it, and I get it after last year defensively, how bad they were. But overall, it's been very good. I would say very good.
I would agree, and that's why, I think of the coaches that I've thrown out there, even though it's been kind of a rocky ride the last little bit here with Mike Vrabel, I've still got the most confidence in him out of all of them, I think. I mean, Rick Barnes is an interesting case study, too, because, he's getting paid like an elite coach in college basketball. He has been largely very successful at Tennessee. The regular season has been great. He's had some good teams. Tennessee basketball is relevant again, where for years it just wasn't. It was not a relevant program in the SEC or certainly nationally as well. So I think Rick Barnes largely has done a good job, but then there's the disappointment of this year's team, I think, as a whole, but also the NCAA tournament thing that as the years go by, it just continues to grow with the disappointment level at the NCAA tournament. So he's another interesting guy to me where I think a lot of it's been really good at Tennessee, but now starting to get a lot of negative energy, negative attention for Rick Barnes as well.
Well, it changed for him, I really believe, with UCLA, with even the realization from some fans that, okay, maybe Rick Barnes isn't just, I don't care about anything else, I just want Tennessee to be great, and I'm going to be all in it. And it's like, wait, you were interested in going to UCLA? Now, listen, fans should understand that this is a business and that this happens. And, he made clear, why he was interested in that job.
Yeah.
But I do think that, one, ratcheted up the pressure because he got paid a lot more, and two, probably turned some fans off. And then they're 35-23 since then. So Oregon State, the way they're playing, maybe makes that first loss look a little better. But this season was, I think, a rare Rick Barnes season of a team looking a certain way and then going the wrong way from there. That doesn't happen. It hasn't happened a lot in his career. So now here's my next question for you. If we're going to talk Rick Barnes, what about Kelly Harper?
Yeah.
Or what about Jerry Stackhouse?
How many people are going to add to this conversation?
Well, what about Jerry Stackhouse and Stephanie White? We can keep Tony Vitello and Tim Corbin.
Yes. I think people feel pretty good about Tim Corbin.
Gary Smith and Taylor Jenkins.
Yes, Tim Corbin, I think you feel great about the trajectory of that program.
If you were ranking coaches in the state,
he's number one.
If you're talking, college, major college, and pro. Now, I would also say that you would, depending on how you're defining it, I think Casey Alexander would rank high too. You know who else would rank high is Rick Insell, by the way.
Yeah.
Did you see that the Hayes sisters both transferred from MTSU?
I did.
My goodness.
It's a tough blow.
That's rough. So now let's
now you've taken my
talk about all the
conversation
coaches.
from 4 people and opened it up to the entire state of Tennessee in coaching. Thank you.
Who would be the 1 seeds?
I don't know. Maybe we ought to make an entire bracket out of it.
We could.
Could do that. At C Northside 85 on Periscope says, out of those 4, I have more confidence in Vrabel considering the circumstances. I think most people of the 4 that I originally laid out of Hines, Vrabel, Heupel, and Rick Barnes, Vrabel probably leading the way there. It's interesting with Hines, too, because I think if you asked this question a couple of weeks ago, I mean, he probably would have been a distant 4th based on the reaction from Predators fans and the conversation that was happening around him. They've started to turn things around. They've played better, and it's interesting, like, one of the selling points on John Hines when David Poyle made that hire was he's good at developing young talent. And now we see young talent coming in with the Predators and starting to play well and starting to be contributors on this team. I do wonder if that part of it kind of changes the view or changes the discussion on John Hines with some Preds fans that maybe a couple of weeks ago were out on him.
Which, by the way, to me was always ridiculous. To put the issues of this team on the coach who's been here a year. But it's natural. It's natural that people are going to look at the coach and they're going to look at the GM. But, yeah, I think he all of a sudden kind of knows what he's doing a little bit, huh? Apparently to some people. How many people have changed their minds or think a little bit differently about it? But to your point there, is he better with young teams? Is that – I mean, it's hard. I don't know.
I mean, the evidence right now would suggest, but it's not a very big sample size we're working with at the moment.
Yeah, but I would say that's a changing trajectory for the better. You know, when you talk about confidence in these coaches, I still think you could make the case for Rick Barnes as number 1 because you should have confidence that he's going to – it's just the question is confidence in what?
Yeah.
Confidence that Rick Barnes will get you to, like, the Final Four and win it all, or that he'll keep it consistent and keep winning. I mean, I think he will. But I just don't know if he's going to get to where you want to get for the first time ever as a program.
And Christopher on Periscope brings that question up. Who's got the higher ceiling out of these options? We'll discuss that when we come back. Continue this conversation on the state of head coaching here in Tennessee. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. And by the way, has your bracket been busted? And you know that it has. Make sure you enter the 16-team Game Bracket Challenge to win great prizes. Go to theGameNashville.com to sign up now to play. The Game Bracket Challenge is brought to you by Volunteer Hose and Gasket, European Collision Repair, Cool Springs Wine and Spirits, and Coach's Corner Sports Grill. We'll be right back here on Robby and Rexrode. This is ESPN 102.5 The Game. Blood Assurance needs your help. They're down to 0 units of O-positive blood on the shelf. So if you can help out, they'll be doing a special drive at Grace Point Healthcare in Franklin today from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So those of you who could be able to help, make sure you drop by the special drive at Grace Point Healthcare in Franklin today from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Welcome back in. Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ryan Porth here with you on this Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. We've got weekend winners coming up here in about 10 minutes. So a very close competition trying to help the people out as they head into the sports world this weekend. Got that coming your way in about 10 minutes. Right now having a discussion on the state of coaches in Tennessee. And the 4 options that I originally threw out were Mike Vrabel, Josh Heupel, John Hines, and Rick Barnes. Rexrode has since added every coach in the state of Tennessee to this discussion as well.
That's
so
right.
Anybody is now on the table. Christopher on Periscope says, who has the highest ceiling of this 4? He's going with Josh Heupel. What do you think about maybe Josh Heupel having the highest ceiling coming in as the next head football coach at Tennessee?
So, and that's an interesting, even when we talk about ceiling, because, Clark Lee goes to a place, as you said, was winless, has never won the SEC. So success for him is, can you win 6-7 games consistently and occasionally go beyond that?
Yep.
Josh Heupel wins 6-7 games consistently.
He'll be fired.
Right. But so are we talking ceiling at your job or ceiling just with the coach? I mean, I guess they have to both be considered together, right?
Sure.
I mean, the ceiling, that's the difference too. You talk about pro or college. The ceiling for Vrabel is the championship. The ceiling for Hines is the championship. If not, then they shouldn't have their jobs.
Right.
Does Josh Heupel have a national championship ceiling? I mean, I guess technically.
I severely doubt it.
Maybe. But, I mean, to me, Rick Barnes, for all the talk about Rick Barnes and his NCAA tournament failures, Rick Barnes still has, to me, he and his program have an absolute higher ceiling than Tennessee football right now. I mean, Rick Barnes has been to one Final Four, but he has been there.
Yeah.
So getting to the Final Four in football is the equivalent of getting to the playoff. And Josh Heupel, again, I mean, he's in his first spring practice. I mean, it's hard to even judge him here at all. We can't judge him here at all. We just know what he did at Central Florida, but he's miles and miles away from having Tennessee football sniffing a playoff berth. Right? Rick Barnes, we thought this year had a team that could make a Final Four. We were wrong. I was wrong. I'll just take credit for it myself. But next year he has, again, like he has a recruit coming in that would be comparable in football to like the number 1 quarterback. But really, because in basketball one guy can totally change a team, it'd be like having a top 5 class in football coming in.
Yeah.
And a bunch of guys who are ready to play. So it's still the ceilings of those 2 programs are totally different.
Let's go back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Chris in Nashville text in. Asked Joe if he saw Tennessee's last possession against Bama in the SEC tournament. How does Victor Bailey end up taking that last 3 to tie? There's no way. If you can't draw up a play for Vescovi there, you can't coach.
Well, he did draw up a play for Vescovi. So I don't know if it was executed poorly. It didn't look like a great play, I agree. But it was for Vescovi, and honestly, he had enough space to launch the shot, and he should have.
Yeah.
So, but it was I watched the play. Maybe something got lost in the translation on that play. It wasn't good. He also had weird, late in that game, playing Plavsic way too long, and it gave Alabama like 2 free baskets. So there was a lot of stuff there. But we've talked about Devontae Gaines. That was actually a good coaching move.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's interesting because, I mean, Vrabel and Barnes, of who we're talking about, I think are the 2 closest to winning a championship at this point. But they're also, I think, the 2 that have got a lot of skepticism about them moving forward here. Like, I think there's a lot of skepticism with Vrabel about the defense and Shane Bowen. And is Vrabel maybe comfortable, a little too comfortable, keeping things in-house and promoting from within, things like that? Is it too much of his way or the highway? I think that is a question that some Titans fans have right now. I think a lot of Tennessee fans are frustrated with this team in basketball, and they are convinced that Rick Barnes is never going to be the guy that takes them on a deep run in the tournament. Again, I think there's some perspective needed on that, but that's the way some Tennessee fans feel. I think it's harder with Heupel to really figure out what's going on. I mean, he was at UCF. Quite frankly, it wasn't trending in an encouraging direction, I think, if you're a Tennessee fan. And right now the roster is in bad enough shape where he's got some work to do on the recruiting trail. It's just going to be a while, I think, before you can really judge Josh Heupel and what he is. So it's difficult to have that conversation with him from this standpoint. John Hines, I think the narrative has turned a little bit on him in the last couple of weeks as well. So the Barnes and Vrabel part of this has been the most interesting part of this discussion to me, because those are two guys that have seen success. The expectation is now high, and the bar has been raised. Can they take the next step to then compete for championships with that? Yeah. As you've said many times, it's easy to go from bad to good. Sometimes it's very difficult to get from good to great.
Right. And, of course, Vrabel has been close. He's been closer than Barnes has been here. I mean, getting to the AFC title game, well, I mean, I guess that's basically like getting to the Elite Eight, right? Basically.
Yep.
Well, no, actually, that's like getting to the Final Four is really what it is. So he's been there. Barnes hasn't. Barnes hasn't been past Sweet 16 here, and he's been to one of those since 2008. Now, just to clarify, though, when you said close to a championship, the coach close to a championship in this state is the coach of the defending national champs, who is the number one team in the country.
I understand that.
But you want to exclude Vanderbilt. You want to exclude Vanderbilt. That's fine. They don't count in your orange world.
Yes.
So, that's fine. But I do want to bring in Kelly Harper, because I think that program, kind of like Vanderbilt baseball, probably the two programs with the highest ceiling, best history, right?
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say best history, because obviously Tennessee football has a great history too, but it's just so far away now. And you're a lot closer with Tennessee women's basketball to greatness, although the last Final Four was 2008. So that's kind of interesting too, that it was 2008 for them. The last time Tennessee football got to Atlanta was 2007. So it's almost a little bit of a parallel with football and women's basketball. Not as dramatic for women's basketball, because they still are good. But it's really interesting with Kelly Harper. I think she's had 2 good years, and I think that she has a top 15, number 15 class coming in, good class. But
it's not a Tennessee level class.
Right. So what does that mean?
It's a good question. I mean, I think you still feel good about what she's done so far if you're a Tennessee fan. I think Holly Warlick, it was not going well. And I think
the recruiting was going
very well, but the play on the court was not going well, and I think Tennessee fans were just fed up at that point. So I think there was some work for Kelly Harper to come in here and do. I've been fine with what she's done so far. Now, that is, when you talk about high-pressure jobs, especially in women's college basketball, like it's that in Connecticut. Those are the two that really stand out. I know Baylor's come up since then, and there are a lot of really good programs now in women's college basketball, South Carolina being one of those as well. But when you think about the blue bloods of women's college basketball, it's UConn and Tennessee. That's what it is. And you're not going to have very long to try to build this thing back up into being a national contender.
Right. Tennessee is a victim of what Tennessee helped create. It's a much better sport. I mean, I think it's great. This tournament, there's a bunch of teams that could win it. There was a long stretch, and I know some women's basketball fans hated people saying, well, UConn's just going to win. There's no parity. But you do need parity, and there is parity now, which is great. There's more investment, but it makes it harder for UT to get there. Real quick on Heupel and Hines, to me, have a little bit of a parallel. I think some people might view them both as bridge coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Hines, good with young players, but what if you could get someone who's won cups? Heupel, maybe he can stabilize things, get rid of the dumb crap that was going on under Jeremy Pruitt, cheat smarter, of course. You got to cheat. Just got to cheat smarter.
Right.
But then is he a championship coach? Maybe you get it a little better. You get to that 7-8, and then go get the coach, whoever that is, who can come in and win. Is that fair? Is that how the fans of those teams look at those guys?
I think so. I think to a certain degree that's absolutely fair. We'll have to continue this discussion sometime here in the next couple of weeks. Maybe we'll make the bracket of every coach in the state of Tennessee, and then we can work through it together. That could be something we do.
We could.
I think I know who would win, but that's okay. Probably Tim Corbin.
Yeah, Tim Corbin would be the overall number one seed.
I think he would. I think he'd be the number one seed for sure. When we come back, it's time for weekend winners. We'll throw out some predictions this weekend in the world of sports. The competition is heating up between myself, Ryan Porth, and Joe Rexrode. That's coming up next. And Preds fans, make sure you're joining 102.5 The Game on Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. for Smashville Live. Smashville Live airs every Wednesday on 102.5 The Game during the Preds season and will feature Preds players, former players, and other special guests. You can also watch the show online via 102.5 The Game's Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and thegamenashville.com. Smashville Live is brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, and Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue. To view or listen to past shows, go to thegamenashville.com/Smashville Live. We'll be right back here on Robby and Rexrode, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Some winners, we hope. Robby and Rexrode have weekend winners for you now
on ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And it is that time of the week, time for weekend winners here on Robby and Rexrode. Lots of action coming up this weekend in the world of sports. The NCAA tournament the NHL, the NBA, everything going pretty strong right now. MLB starting next week as well, as Ryan Porth is very excited about. So,
yes, sir.
Lots to get to today on Weekend Winners. Joe Rexrode, let's have a standings update. Where do we stand right now in this competition on Weekend Winners?
Yeah, and we need to talk about what we're doing today. We probably should have done that before this episode, but we will figure it out in real time. So, last week, and maybe if we talked about it, I just may have just ignored you guys when you talked about it.
That's possible.
That's possible. Okay, so last week, Porth was the winner of last week, 4-2 with his lock, which was Ohio plus 7 against Virginia. Very nicely done, so 5 points. You and I both went 3-3, both got our locks. 4 points. Your lock was the Preds losing to the Panthers, and my lock was Loyola minus 5.5 against Georgia Tech. It was close, but they got through, and of course we know what Loyola is doing now. So the standings, I'm 14-10 against the spread, 18 points because I'm 4-0 with my locks. Porth also 14-10, 16 points. He is now 2-2 with his locks. You are 12-12, 14 points, 2-2 with your locks. So it's a very, very up in the air competition right
now. A lot closer than picks can pick 'em.
There he goes again. Ryan Porth off the top rope.
Yes.
All righty.
Yes.
With that in mind, let's get to it here on Weekend Winners. The Nashville Predators taking on the Chicago Blackhawks both on Saturday and on Sunday. We're doing each individual game. So let's start with the Saturday game. Joe Rexrode, we begin with you. The Predators and the Blackhawks taking place on Saturday. Just money line.
Yeah, going money line. Well, I mean, I called my shot earlier that the Preds are going to get 1 point out of the weekend.
You did.
Downer call. Do I have to stick with that in this, or do I hedge my bets?
Do whatever you want to do, man.
Is there a rule on that in this show?
I mean, I think you should probably stick to it, but you do whatever you want to do, man. There's no rule.
I mean, that's like filling out multiple brackets.
Yeah.
Right.
And aren't you a one-bracket guy?
I am, but I'm asking if that's the rule or not.
It's not a rule. We've not established a rule.
I'll violate my own ethics. Fine. I have no problem with that.
Look, that's entirely up to you if you want to, damage your integrity.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll go Chicago.
Okay. Ryan Porth. Preds taking on the Blackhawks on Saturday. Who do you got in that game? Preds, Blackhawks, money line.
Money line, Blackhawks on Saturday.
Okay. So you think the Predators 6 points behind the Hawks, or maybe an overtime or shootout win for the Blackhawks. You didn't specify. Just a win.
I said a point, so I'm saying this is an overtime loss.
Okay. All right.
I'm calling that an overtime loss as well.
All righty. So both of you taking the Blackhawks on Saturday. Give me the Nashville Predators, baby. They're playing really well right now. Winners of 5 out of their last 6 games. I don't think Rocco Grimaldi's going to score 4 on Saturday. Maybe 2. Maybe stops at 2 on Saturday against the Hawks.
Yarnko's going to be back in the multi-goal game too. So
sure will.
There's only one puck out there.
Ryan Porth, let's begin with you. The Predators and the Blackhawks on Sunday. The money line. Which way are you going?
Well, I'm going with the Blackhawks on Saturday, so I'm going with the Preds on Sunday.
Okay. I'm going to go the opposite. I will take the Blackhawks on Sunday. So I think the Predators win Saturday. The Blackhawks win on Sunday. And that's probably not good news for me. It'll probably be the exact opposite of that. So there you go. Joe Rexrode. Preds and Blackhawks on Sunday. You've taken the Blackhawks in the first game. Who do you have in the second game?
This will be a regulation win for Chicago.
So you believe the Predators, when we come back in here on Monday, 7 points behind the Blackhawks after this weekend. All righty. So those are the 2 Preds games that we have for the weekend. Did we officially decide yesterday to go with the over-under for Jack Leiter at strikeouts?
I thought we did.
I thought we did as well.
I know we talked about it. I wasn't. Okay, that's fine.
So Max,
because Kamar Rocker pitched last night. The Preds beat
right.
Missouri. So we have Jack Leiter.
Vanderbilt beat Missouri, not the Predators, but yes.
Oh, did I just say the Predators beat Missouri?
Yes.
Man, they took down Michigan and Missouri.
That's a heck of a night for them.
It's impressive, guys.
So Jack Leiter would be pitching tonight, and our good friend Max Hers has suggested that an appropriate over-under for strikeouts for Jack Leiter, I believe 11.5.
11.5.
Said. That's a heck of a number. Let's start with you, Joe Rexrode. Over-under 11.5 strikeouts for Jack Leiter.
And he had 16 his last time out, which was a no-hitter, which was 1 leadoff walk from a perfect game. He was absolutely ridiculous. He is going to strike out a lot more batters this season and in his career, but I'm going to go with the under on that. I think he's around 9 or 10 strikeouts, which is still a heck of an outing.
Still a heck of an outing. I think it's going to be better. I think he gets 12. Give me the over. Very slightly. I've taken 12 strikeouts for Jack Leiter. Ryan Porth, over-under 11.5 strikeouts for Jack Leiter.
I think after going the distance, he's not going to pitch more than 7 or 8 innings, which probably limits the potential of getting the over. So I'm going to go under.
All righty. So Joe and Port taking the under. I'm going over on strikeouts for Jack Leiter. Now the point in the competition where we go our own way with our own picks. I'll start with this first round of our independent picks. Give me the Blues minus 1.5 against the Anaheim Ducks tonight. I like the way the Blues have been playing as of late. The Anaheim, they're just not very good. I'll take the Blues at home minus 1.5. Ryan Porth.
I stopped trusting the Blues a long time ago.
I know you did.
Well, I'll stick with hockey. Got some basketball picks coming, but I'll stick with hockey.
Okay.
Vegas. Those teams have been going back and forth in their season series. I say Vegas at least keeps it close tomorrow, even though Colorado's just red hot.
They are red hot, and Cale Makar is an absolute freak right now. Joe Rexrode, your independent pick, your first independent pick is what?
Yeah, got to go all NCAA tournament for my picks because it's that.
Do you?
Yeah, oh, yes.
Okay.
It's that weekend. So I'm going to start with my lock. Oregon looked awfully good against Iowa, which can't guard me. And that's what you have to keep in mind. They looked really good. They went up and down the floor. But USC, to me, is legit and really made a statement in beating Kansas down the way they did. USC's giving 2. USC minus 2. Give me USC minus 2 as my lock against Oregon. And that is, by the way, the last of the Sweet 16 games, which is 8:45 p.m. Sunday night.
That's right. Joe Rexrode, we begin with you again in the second round of our independent picks.
Gosh, I just haven't been able to type this up yet. Okay. Well, I'm going to go on the same day, Michigan, Florida State.
Okay.
I think Florida State can give Michigan a game. I think it can be a competitive game. Florida State plays much better defense than Michigan just saw with LSU. However, that's also a less talented team that's not going to challenge Michigan's defense as much. Give me Michigan minus 2.5.
All righty. Ryan Porth, your second round of your independent picks.
Let's go Baylor minus 7.5 against Villanova. Okay. Villanova looked good last weekend, but they played Winthrop and North Texas. Okay. Neither of which are even close to Baylor.
All right. I like that.
I don't know if it's a blowout, but they pull away.
I'm going to go a little bit off the board with my next independent pick. Give me Oregon State plus 7 against Loyola Chicago. I think Loyola Chicago wins, but they're getting a whole lot of love right now. And I think Oregon State, with the way they've been shooting the ball and the inside presence that they've had from Silva, I think they keep it close. Loyola Chicago wins, but plus 7, Oregon State covers the spread. Ryan Porth, you begin our final round with the independent picks.
All right, staying in the NCAA tournament on Sunday, going with the over 145.5 for Alabama versus UCLA.
Okay.
Both teams are playing really well offensively. Alabama can shoot the lights out, and UCLA, Mick Cronin likes his defense, but his defense hasn't been great, and that is my lock.
Porth taking the lock in that game. I'm also staying with that game and making it my lock as well. Give me Alabama minus 6.5 against UCLA as my lock. I think Alabama shoots the lights out once again. They hammer UCLA and move on to the Elite Eight. Joe Rexrode, your final independent pick in today's competition.
See, I like that call on the overs and unders. Well, look, I think that Creighton can hang in, and this is one of those you worry about the bad beat backdoor cover with Creighton here. You know, it's like an 18-point game, and they hit a couple threes against the walk-ons. But, man, Gonzaga is dominant. They're going to dominate Creighton. So I will give the 13 points and take the Zags against Creighton. This is the Sunday first game at 1 o'clock.
So you think Gonzaga is going to roll against Creighton? All righty.
Oh, yes.
That is today's edition of Weekend Winners. Gentlemen, we wish you good luck, and we hope our listeners choose wisely when they listen to us in this competition for this weekend.
And maybe don't listen to us.
And maybe
just enjoy the sweet sounds of our voices.
It's not Pred's Pick to Click, so at least we feel a little bit better about that.
That's
and
true.
As C Northside 85 points out on Periscope, at least Robby's doing better than he's doing in Pred's Pick to Click on this competition. So any sympathy is appreciated.
Just imagine if you were 500 on pick to click.
Yeah, it'd be bad. Or it'd be good for pick to click.
Exactly.
It'd be really good. I mean, running away with competition. When we come back, it is time for Free Beer Friday, our trivia question coming up from Ryan Porth. He's very excited about it. We'll do that next for your opportunity to win a $25 gift card to Bavarian Beer House located at Opry Mills Mall. That's coming up. Right now, I got to tell you, though, about my friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. And there's always that team this time of year that ruins your bracket. This year, probably been multiple teams. That's why I'm betting the tournament on FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook, because on FanDuel, your first bet is risk-free, and it doesn't matter if you're betting a team like Gonzaga or an underdog like Oral Roberts. New users get up to $1,000 in site credit back if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel's got odds on all the action with games day and night. Your next chance to win with FanDuel is only minutes away with their easy-to-use app. I'm leaning towards Alabama this weekend. I really like with that matchup against UCLA. I think it's going to be a good one for the Tide. And guess what? FanDuel also wants to make you a millionaire. Yes, you. They're giving away $1 million to one lucky bettor, and new and existing users get an additional shot at the payout every day you bet on the tourney. So if you want a shot at becoming a millionaire or even a thousandaire, download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Just use promo code ROB so they know that I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code ROB. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. No purchase necessary. Restrictions apply for $1 million drawing. Risk-free offer for first online real money wager only. Site credit is not withdrawable and expires 14 days after receipt. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789. Ah, yes. That time of the week here on the program. Time for Free Beer Friday trivia with Luke Combs bringing us back in, as Joe Rexrode loves every single week. You think he's ever going to pick like another song?
Shh. No one cares.
Oh, nice.
So I didn't realize why I brought this in. That's why I brought it in.
That's why he brought it in.
Nothing picks me up like a beer can.
Yeah, buddy.
Poetry. My goodness. How many years did it take to write that lyric? Poetry.
Lots of thought put into
freaking
that.
Bill
one.
freaking Shakespeare over here.
That's right.
But it has
Matt
two
Foley
meanings.
reference.
Oh, yes. The double meaning.
Nothing picks me up like a beer can, or nothing picks me up like a beer can.
Yes, we know.
Yes. Oh, yeah, we know.
Yes.
We get it.
What a great skit reference by you, by the way, too. Little Matt Foley action.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Bill freaking Shakespeare.
That's right.
By the way, so we had a texter who said I look like what? Lots of huggy?
Yeah, somebody on YouTube, Buck and Gator on YouTube says, my man Rexrode looks like Lotso Bear from Toy Story 3. I don't know if that's good or bad.
See, the sweatshirt's puffed. See, look, it's felt.
I think they're just saying
Leave
you're a
me
really
alone.
lovable guy.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
You're just a lovable human being.
I don't remember that character from Toy Story 3.
Snuggly.
It's like the main villain.
He was the evil villain.
Yeah.
Oh.
The teddy bear.
He's like, hey, everybody. And then all of a sudden he becomes, yeah, see, I kind of resemble him, don't I?
Yes, you do. Fourth, it is time for Free Beer Friday trivia. The winner can win a $25 gift card to Bavarian Beer House located at Opry Mills Mall if they can answer your trivia question on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Porth, you've had this trivia question prepared for days. I now turn it over to you.
Nothing picks me up like a beer can.
That's right.
Or is it beer can? All right, so
Love
trivia
that
question. Trivia question here for the Bavarian Beer House gift card. We've got Alabama and Arkansas both in the Sweet 16 from the Southeastern Conference. Now, Kentucky all-time has 44 trips to the Sweet 16. Which SEC school has the second most trips to the Sweet 16?
It's a good question. If you know the answer to that question, be the first texter at 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025 on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. If you get the answer correct, you will win the $25 gift card to Bavarian Beer House located at Opry Mills Mall. I have no clue.
I have a guess. I think I'm right, but I wouldn't be surprised because if Porth picked this question, then I'm probably wrong.
Okay.
Like, I think there's an obvious answer, but because it's obvious, it's probably not the right answer.
Right. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll
but
have
I'm
an
not
update
going
on
to
that
tell
shortly.
you what my answer is because I don't want to ruin the surprise. Yeah. I can't wait to find out, though.
I have a guess. I don't know if I'm right. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll keep you updated on the trivia question throughout the rest of the show here. And also, make sure that you go to theGameNashville.com. It's time to save some cash fast. It's the 1025 The Game Deal of the Week from Grain and Berry in Hillsboro Village. Go to theGameNashville.com right now to get half off of a $20 gift card. Grain and Berry is Nashville's superfood cafe where healthy meets delicious. It's interesting, like, Joe, looking ahead to the tournament this weekend, I think the matchup that I might be looking forward to the most is Syracuse and Houston. I called that as my upset pick of the week in Call Your Shot Friday. Syracuse taking down Houston. Wouldn't be surprised by really anything left in this tournament anymore. We were talking earlier in the show about the tournament, and Pat Bradley joined us from the SEC Network. Oral Roberts taking on Arkansas. Can they keep it going, or is this where the magical ride ends for Oral Roberts against Arkansas this weekend?
Yeah, and I tell you, I just think when you have a great player, and especially a great player at the point guard position, Asmus, I keep thinking of Brad Osmus when I say his name, but it's Asmus, right? He is he's so good that I think they have a chance against Arkansas. Arkansas has been a little bit uneven in this tournament. All that matters is that you advance. But they had some, not just like getting behind by Colgate, they really reacted poorly to it, and then they rebounded and they were fine. I think there could be a better game than some might expect. I'm actually really looking forward to Oregon State Loyola too, because I'm watching Oregon State and I'm like, boy, it looks to me like they have some pretty good players on this team, and they are playing very well. So, but I think the better games are Sunday. The last three games of the Sweet 16, which is Florida State, Michigan, UCLA, Alabama, Oregon, USC, are pretty strong.
Pretty strong indeed. And look, it's not going to be probably as wild as it was for the opening weekend of the tournament last weekend, but still some really good matchups. And the question has been, can Gonzaga finish this thing off? Now, you thought that maybe they had ruined themselves by not losing in the regular season or in the conference tournament. So far, they've looked pretty strong in this tournament. The number 1 overall seed, I think they're going to roll against Creighton. I'm starting to think they've got what it takes to get it done and finish this thing off, maybe finish undefeated. Well, I had them in my bracket.
They have what it takes, but they're not going to do it. They screwed
You're
it
sticking
up.
by it.
Yeah. Oh, they have what it takes. I think they're the best team, but they're not going to win it.
Okay.
Once they get to the Final Four, which is where they're going, then they will meet their match.
Really?
Who are they playing in the Final Four, by the way? I'm gonna schedule the Final Four for them.
You're going to schedule it?
Yeah, I'm scheduling them into the Final Four.
Well, 3 of your 4 are still alive.
Yes, they are.
In the Final Four.
And that would be, it would be, who's got a bracket in front of them? I know it was going to be Gonzaga. Well, maybe it'll be Gonzaga Loyola in the championship because it was going to be Gonzaga Illinois. I know that was my title game.
Gonzaga versus the winner out of the Alabama region.
Yep.
Yeah, Gonzaga Bama.
Be awesome.
That would be fun.
Is Bama the team left in the tournament that has the best shot of beating Gonzaga because of how they can shoot?
Maybe, but you know what? Baylor plays. If Baylor is fully, because their defensive numbers went down this year, but they also, it's such a weird year. I feel like Baylor has that ability with their guard play, with their defense, if they play their best defense. And look, I do think Michigan, I don't know if Isaiah Livers is coming back or not, but when you have a 7-footer like that and the role players like Chauncey Brown plays like he did against LSU, no, Michigan Bama would be incredible. I'll tell you what, USC, if they keep playing like they did the first weekend, that could be an interesting game. Yep, Elijah Campbell is swatting
quickly,
Gonzaga.
Do we have a winner in the trivia competition?
We do. Michael in Mount Juliet answered the question correctly of which SEC school has the second most Sweet 16 appearances beyond Kentucky, who has 44, and the correct answer is Arkansas with 12.
Arkansas. I got it wrong. I would have guessed Florida. So
Florida and LSU both have 10.
There you go. That does it for us today here on Robby and Rexrode. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Darren Donick and Chase coming up next. This is ESPN 102.5 The Game.